afternoon, wherever you're coming from. And we're here for another episode of the Group Up podcast. And we are here for the great console debate. I have assembled a stellar lineup of console plus a little bit of PC representation to have that discussion finally. Because I know so many of you guys consume Overwatch on the console and it very rarely gets spoken about. So we're going to talk about it here. And let me introduce my guest. Starting from the top right on your side is Worth. So we're going to have our guests trying to introduce ourselves a little bit in case you guys are unfamiliar with them and their history with the platform. So Worth, go ahead and give us your little intro.
Alrighty, hi everyone. My name is Worth. I played console from basically 2016 all the way up until a few months ago. I've been rank 1 too many times to count, 4,700 plus in Season 13 on Xbox. My first season of PC, which was Season 2 of PC, I got rank 1 playing Hog. No, Hog isn't my main hero. I play like Ryan, Orisa, that kind of shit, Junker Queen. But yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Very thankful for everyone for coming out and watching the stream and stuff. And of course, SVB hosting. Much appreciate it.
Pleasure to have you, and nice to hear from the console community for once. And on that note, we have in the bottom right your buddy Hcpeful. Hcpeful, what's up?
Hello everybody, I'm Hcpeful. I've been on SVB stream a few times in the tournaments. I've been playing console literally since release. My main platform. I did go to PC for a little bit. I was rank 1 on console and PC. I did a little bit of semi-professional playing. But since then, that was like 3 years ago. Ever since then, I've just kind of been playing console for fun. I've been streaming it, but yeah, really excited to be here and talk about aim assist and all that cool stuff. So yeah, thank you everybody for being here.
Oh yeah, it's going to be very, very good. It should be plenty of excitement. And someone who will bring that excitement is my man in the bottom left, BroYouWack. Zach, what's up?
I bring the excitement. That's good to know. Hi guys, my name is BroYouWack. I've been on SVB's podcast beforehand, and super appreciative of him inviting me back. I started off on console with console tip videos back in 2016, and that's kind of how I got my start with everything. And just recently, I made a hard switch onto PC, but I still play on console, or as much as I can, while also making tip videos for console, because that's what I start off with, and just try to get a good general sense of just Overwatch rather than just on one single platform now with all the platforms. So originally play on Xbox. Haven't gotten rank 1 like how most of the people on this call probably have. So I'll probably really be looking more at it from the casual perspective of console play, because that's my forte.
I mean, yeah, you're going to bring a very valuable perspective because, believe it or not, most people watching did never hit rank 1. It's a shame on them. I know. Get good, but rank 1 chef. There you go, rank 1 chef.
No, he's rank 1 in our hearts.
Yeah.
Oh no, Sam, not that, not that one. Oh my
Thanks
god.
for making me feel better, y'all.
All right, and on that note, there is another rank 1 gamer in the top left. It is Samito. Samito, what's up, man?
How's it going, guys? We're on here. We're used
Sam's
to
here every other week. But Sam, have you played just for
if
context?
If I start talking, there's gonna be a metaphor in the first 5 minutes, and we're trying to ease into that as time goes on. I'm sure there'll be a couple, but
oh yeah,
thanks for having me as always.
No, I love having you on. Just for context, have you ever played on console? Just so we know, the listeners know. Have you ever played on console?
Not serious. Well, so like Overwatch, no, not seriously. I've had a couple games with my buddies, just like at their house or just like if I'm traveling or something. I played on the Switch, and that was an experience.
Did you play with gyro controls? Did you play with like Hammond moving like
dude,
Switch?
I 30 FPS Moira. 30 FPS Moira back when it first came out. That was a tale. Believe it or not, my one of my players at UK was the rank 1 Switch player.
What?
It was 3K SR. It was diamond.
No! Oh my god! I mean, the Nintendo Switch is a whole nother experience. So we're gonna be. Oh, by the way, Worth and Hcpeful and BroYouWack as well. Like, what were your primary consoles? Actually, it might be worth pointing out as well. Worth, you go ahead first.
Obviously Xbox. Xbox is the best out of all the consoles by far.
Hcpeful, you were Xbox as well.
I was also Xbox. Yeah, 6
I was
7 years.
I was Xbox as well. Yeah.
Okay,
when
so
I was a kid, I was Xbox. It's
Oh my God,
better for multiplayer. Listen, it's better for multiplayer.
The whole
PlayStation
Microsoft
had
gang.
the exclusives. They had the exclusives. All right, that's why Sony did better. But let's not doubt for a second that multiplayer games were always better on Xbox. Sorry, PlayStation, stay mad.
On the Halo, I got an Xbox because of Titanfall. That's the reason why I played on Xbox is because of Titanfall and then eventually Overwatch.
I'm the only Sony guy here. I had the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. I got to play some awesome titles, so I'm not even mad. But I will say I got bullied at school for being a PlayStation kid because like 90% of the other kids were all on Xbox and they'd be like, you having fun, chump, in your like solo queue, and they'd all be locking like Modern Warfare. Man. They'd all lock Modern Warfare. They'd stack together. They'd be like hanging out at night, and I'd just be there like, yeah, well, I get to play Metal Gear Solid, so fuck you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's about right.
It's so funny in hindsight, like looking back, it's like the only reason we couldn't all play together were just because the egos of the companies and like the brands.
Yeah, right.
It totally was doable. It was totally doable, but just
for
funny.
Real. And that's something we will get to because we have obviously actually it's a good segue because recently Overwatch has added, well, we've had crossplay for a while. Recently in the big picture, I remember the devs were like, we're gonna add an update that's bigger than we've ever added before. And it was crossplay, and everyone was like, "Wait, that's it." It is a big update, though. Let's not be disingenuous. It is technically a huge demand, and some games do it, some games don't. For example, Valorant doesn't, Apex did, or Apex does, and it's a hot topic discussion. So Overwatch added crossplay, and until recently, that crossplay did not have aim assist. So we recently had an update where now in Overwatch 2 we do have aim assist, and this is always in any game when crossplay comes through and there is aim assist, always a hot topic discussion. For context, again, Apex is having a huge meltdown, I would say, over the sort of the state of how powerful aim assist is or isn't. Controller players, mouse and keyboard players are transitioning to controller now just to try and make up the gap. So there's a whole discussion there. I want to take discussion for how it's going to play out in Overwatch, and I want to hear first. Let's go from the DPS player, Hcpeful. So Hcpeful, all right. Do you want to describe from your experience? Because again, you've been rank 1 DPS both on console and PC. You play a lot of heroes, aim-intensive heroes. I've seen you. You've been on my content. Actually, let me set up this one more context before we go as well. Hcpeful and Worth were both part of a series of experiments that we did where we did what was called the Crossplay Challenge. We took players from every elo and we put them, PC versus console. So we took... we couldn't find enough bronze console players, but we took silver, gold, plat, diamond, master.
Called me. I should have done. I'm just kidding.
Rank 1.
Not bronze.
So we got them. We got all these lobbies together. We had multiple different teams playing multiple games, and the results were that PC won every single game outside of GM until we got to Hcpeful and Worth and some of the other high-end console players, and there PC could not get a single dub. PC got rolled over completely. So it was a very interesting manifestation. That was with the aim assist on, so this was very recently. So now I want to take it to Hcpeful. Hcpeful, with that context, how would you describe the aim assist in Overwatch currently? And what are your feelings on it for potentially being crossplay?
Honestly, so I've actually I've heard this talked about a lot. When people talk about aim assist on Overwatch, they talk about it compared to other games. If you look at the aim assist in a game like Halo, in Halo, it is super close to aimbot. But if you look at a game like Apex, the aim assist on Overwatch is nowhere near that. It's still strong. I'm not gonna say that aim assist is you can't even notice it, but it's still really strong. But I think right now, I think for the most part, people overestimate the skills of console players because when you talked about how me and Worth played in the in your content and stuff, those teams you were on, we were some of the best players. No, we were the best players. The players you had on your stream, we were the best players. So when you take it's we're the quote unquote if you were to say it, the Overwatch League of console, right? So if you were to take the best players and put them against the GM team, obviously we're gonna beat them, right? But a lot for you to think that everybody plays the way we do. It's the aim assist usually isn't that strong for most players. Everybody except maybe the top 30, 40, their aim isn't that good. So I think it's strong in Overwatch, but the way Overwatch plays out, for the most part, aim assists actually isn't as broken as it doesn't auto aim for you, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's actually worthwhile context as well. So in the GM games, we got literally, because I kind of didn't expect as much interest as we got. I kind of threw a format. I was like, yo, is there any high elo console players who'd be down to come play? And then all you guys were like, this is the moment we've been waiting for. You all signed up.
We have been waiting for that.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, literally.
was.
So all you guys turned up, and yeah, it was very one because the GMs we had on PC, every other rank it was just a random assortment of people of their rank. So we just had random PC GMs, and those guys were not ready for what you came with. So it was unrepresentative. And again, for context, J3 did what he took you guys who are like the best, put you up against a contenders team, and you lost there. So like that was perhaps a more fair, skill level matchup. Worth as well. I'll let you chime in before we head over to the other two, the more PC representative guys as well. What are your feelings on the aim assist?
Yeah, absolutely. There's like a very like cloudy stigma when it comes to PC players when they think about console aim assist, right? They think like coming from a PC perspective, like I played both. Me and Dankus are hopeful we both played both. A PC standard opinion on it is that it's cheating, it's not fair, and the console people can't aim because they rely on the aim assist. Now, I'm gonna follow up with what Leo said with other games. If you look at games like Halo, I played Halo on Xbox and Overwatch on Xbox, both on controller. The Halo literally, like I'm gonna say this, the Halo will aim for you. Now on console with the aim assist on Overwatch, is it doesn't aim for you. However, it slows down your aim when you're hovering over someone, and it doesn't lock onto them. It's actually one of the weakest aim assists among any games with the aim assist.
Okay, so yeah, that's fair. Again, thank you for that context. So the argument here is that it's not as strong. And just to round it off, Worth and hopeful as well. Before we get, Samito, I'm gonna let Samito go because I know he's very passionate about this topic. But do you guys feel like it's okay at the moment in Overwatch as it is? Like, do you have any thoughts on it being implemented in comp for like a crossplay comp?
I think that if it were to ever be added in to PC or even considered, the main issue with it would probably be Ximmers. But I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
We will definitely we'll do a whole section.
I'd love to talk about that.
We'll do a whole section on Ximmers.
Yeah, so I'll just mention it for a little bit. The biggest problem would be Ximmers, and definitely the thing is, a lot of people say that like, oh, console GM is Diamond PC, and it might be controversial, but like the average console grandmaster is definitely not the average PC grandmaster. Like that's just how it is usually. So I think that if they were to ever implement aim assist, there would just have to be like a full MMR wipe, because the console level of competitive play is nowhere near to the same level of like PC. Like your average PC competitive lobby is just so much faster, like a lot higher skill ceiling than like your average console lobby.
Right. Worth?
Yeah, I'm gonna add on to that as well as like your average PC Grandmaster player is gonna be leagues ahead of your average Grandmaster console player. But the thing is, right, this is kind of weird to kind of take in and like absorb, but the upper level of console like has a lot of talent when matched up against PC. Like you can take like a mid to low GM team and match them against a mid to low GM team on PC, and the PC team will absolutely obliterate that mid to low GM PC or Xbox team or console team. But if you take the highest of players on Xbox against a pretty solid team on PC, like we did with Wisp versus Blue Team, that match was actually extremely surprising for a lot of PC people because they think of console players as not very good. Meanwhile, on the contrary, there's actually a lot of hidden talent on console, and even with Overwatch League and stuff, there's Gator who came from console, Kaluge who came from console, right. Halo who came from console, Yizan who came from console. A lot of semi-pro players came from console. A lot of coaches came from console. It's just that gap between the mid to low GMs on console, between the upper, like super good console players, is so insane. Like the skill level is insanely diverse in that area.
Okay, very interesting. I'm actually sorry, Sam. I'm gonna actually go one more time to Zach because I want to give Samito his full due and giving his full time to go on his feelings. But Zach, anything you want to chime in on your side on like?
So I will say that like when it comes, because I've got to GM and I got in top 500, not the rank ones, but at the bottom of top 500s. And if I do recall, maybe like once or twice, maybe I've gotten in a game against Hcpeful at one point. And the skill difference between the top of the top 500s is on console is just by far way different than even the bottom of top 500. So like kind of echoing what they said, there is that skill, there is that mentality of just knowing like how to play the game right. It's just I feel like it's being limited by the fact of this like plastic controller that is held by 2 joysticks and controlling the game that kind of limits the actual performance of the hero. And so when I see PC players complain about aim assist in Overwatch, where it's basically just like it doesn't drag the aim with the hero, but basically increases the window of that hero as to where it gets affected. I just kind of scratch my head. It's like, why are you complaining when console would be at a much bigger disadvantage when going against PC players? So I never understood why PC players got upset by it, whereas maybe they don't even play on console to fully know how much aim assist truly affects the aim. Because if you see it really doesn't like aim for you. It just kind of drags your aim towards the body of the hero.
It slows you down when you go over their hitbox.
Slows you down. That's the word. Yeah.
Okay, very interesting. And I this is why I wanted to have a discussion, because as someone who's like, the last time I played on console game was like PS3, so it's been I haven't played like any competitive FPSs on console, so like I'm very out of touch, and this is very enlightening for me, all these things. So like I encourage anyone else as well who is a PC gamer to kind of listen and really understand what it's like, because so much of Overwatch is played on the console. We kind of always take it for granted.
Yeah.
So it's because so much of the casual player base plays on console, so it is really interesting to hear like these different takes. But now, Sam, I know you've been one of the most vocal advocates of like aim assist in competitive FPS is bad. It ruins the game. So set the scene. Like, give me your feelings on the sort of FPS genre in general and aim assist, and then take it to Overwatch, however you feel.
Okay, so I got a couple things I want to establish first, because you only have 240 characters on Twitter. You can't always get it out. One, I have absolutely no problem with aim assist remaining for console v console matches. Absolutely no problem with that. Whatever happens on console, like the reality is there is a difference between mouse and keyboard and controller. And as long as each people, I'm like, because every time I get so many tweets of like, oh, how dare you say I can't have aim assist on console? I'm like, I have no problem with that. If it's console v console, I got no issue, right? Absolutely no issue, right? Number 2, aim assist is a form of aimbot. It is just approved, right? That's all it is. There are many different types of aimbots, ranging from extreme ones like rage hacking to minor, very minor like software. Like an aimbot is a software, like a code-based assist to helping you aim. And that can vary from being very, very light, like it is in Overwatch, or it could be somebody rage hacking in Warzone, right? Like the reality is, fundamentally and by definition, it is still an aimbot. The difference is that it is approved by the company and intentionally incorporated, right? Whether that's good or bad depends on the situation, right? Like I personally think that in console v console matches for your average gamer out there, I think it's good. I have no problem with, again, like any form of minor aim assist coming in console v console. But the reality is we have to call it what it is. It is a form of aimbot. It's just approved by the company. Number 3, I do agree that a lot of PC players are poor at articulating their issue with what aim assist actually is when it comes into PC FPS games. It's not that people don't understand what it's like to play. We get that it's harder to aim on a controller, especially when you get up in the ranks. Like the skill ceiling and skill expression on mouse and keyboard is just better. And anybody who tells you differently is wrong. But the lingo that people use is incorrect. I would not say that mouse and keyboard is objectively better than controller. I would say that the better you get, the better it is. So if you're some bronze noob on, on console or mouse and keyboard, like, and you go up against aim assist, and this is what you saw happen in Warzone, and you actually saw this happen, and I know these are different games with stronger aim assist, to be fair, and that's where I will tip the hat to Overwatch at least. Its aim assist is absolutely weaker than Warzone. In Warzone, it ruined the game. It was so bad for so long because they dumpstered every play style to not have to use SMG, and so you're trying to track, and like there were things that aim assist could do that you literally could not replicate, even at like the very skill ceiling of the game. But again, that's Warzone to be specific, not Overwatch. And I believe, just for the purpose of this podcast, do you want it to mainly be an Overwatch discussion? And don't worry about Apex, don't worry about Warzone, or maybe cross that we get to it. For now, we'll talk about Overwatch.
Yeah, let's stick to Overwatch, because I mean, because I imagine part of your fears are going to be like, well, look, it could go this way, like it could end up being like Apex and Warzone. So,
okay, we'll keep it about Overwatch today. We'll keep it about Overwatch today. You know, this is the only time I'm gonna reference other games, but the idea that mouse and keyboard players are just always going to be better is just false. And the issue is not that we don't understand that controller is harder or not optimal for shooter games. It's that no matter what, why is the answer software that is a budget aimbot, no matter how strong it is, you play FPS games for pure player skill input. That's what PC FPS games have been for 10 years now, even since their conception, really. It is raw talent. And if you add even the smallest amount of approved aimbot or a very minor aim assist, right, it takes away from the game integrity to some degree. And there's always that lingering question in your head, and Asmongold summarized it so well. Well, did I lose to that player or did I lose to the software? Like, what was the advantage? And what's so nice about playing shooters on PC, unless you're playing a hacker, which is a big problem in Overwatch's history and in Warzone and other games too, but you know, it's always, well, I got outplayed by the player, unless there's like a broken character, which we could talk about at some other point. Not meant for today. But that's kind of like where the disconnect is, I feel like, between not necessarily this group, but just the general player population, where it's like, you know, the PC players will just sit there and be like, oh, it's hard aimbot. It's not hard aimbot. It's a very small form of aim assist. And then a lot of the console players will sit there and say, well, you have your whole arm to aim, blah, blah, blah. You know, and it's not, a lot of those conversations go absolutely nowhere and they're kind of pointless. And it's just people just like throwing things at each other without actually having any form of discussion. So I kind of rambled there for a minute. But.
No, it's good. I think it's good because we've set the scene now. Now we can really have the debate. I would normally say, feel free to dive in and raise your hand if you wanna jump in. I obviously Hopeful and Worth can. So just feel free to
put an emoji in chat. Put an emoji.
Drop an emoji. Feel free to interrupt, because this is gonna get, now we're gonna really, we're gonna have to go back and forth. So feel free to interrupt at any point if you want to say something. I will add from my end, and I do want to hear from all the rest of you guys. I will add from my end that what Samito said about. Well, the argument, I guess, is that people say, well, PC will always be better, right? People say people's PC will always be better. Sam disagrees with that. Sam says that actually, is that correct, Sam? You kind of disagree with that notion that PC will always be better if you put PC against console in the current state of Overwatch, equal rank. No, you're a bit more nuanced.
It really depends. There. It really depends on the player. Like, if you could have, because how do you accurately measure? Because if you want to test that, right, each team has to be relatively even, right? But there's so many factors, and this is where, again, you could say that aim assist would be okay in Overwatch, right? There's so many different factors in the game that it's not always an aim-based game. Like, at least in Overwatch, and this is where, again, I'll give the nod towards aim assist in this game is very different from other games. There's a lot of different ways to get value in play, whether it be game knowledge or like what character you play. So in a perfect scenario, I really couldn't, I honestly can't accurately answer that. I can't honestly give you an answer that I think is definite. I can't.
Okay.
There's so many different metrics that I wish I could. I'd love to, but I can't. I can't actually.
No, that's totally fair, and I don't want you to pin yourself to a stance you don't believe in, right? So that's totally fair. I will say that there are some people then who do feel like, well, it's in doubt whether
if you're talking strictly mechanics. If you're talking strictly mechanics, and the idea that M&K is always better, that's not true. I think if a controller player has aim assist, like a brand new person off the street, so you grab somebody and say, you never played a game before, here's a controller with aim assist, and then here's a mouse and keyboard. That I think that controller player will outperform at the very, very basics of the game with the aim assist than the somebody you just throw on sticks, right? But that's, again, it's such a niche situation. It's almost a it's almost a non-point.
So
right?
I will. Let me quickly set the scene, and I do want to hear from these guys, because I want to chime in from my part what I observed, which is when we did these tests, like I said, when we did our crossplay pugs, and we had, I wish we could have found bronze players, because I would have liked to test that bottom end that you're talking about, Sam. But even silver up, we had multiple teams play, and they all lost to PC. So like, there are other disadvantages, right? And again, Hopeful, Worth, feel free to chime in here. Like, there are other disadvantages that come with console beyond just the aiming. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, with console as well, that everyone on PC like tends to forget about or not to recognize, is on console. There's a lot of settings that are missing. Like for example, the FOV. The FOV on PC, you can set that to 103. Now on console, there is absolutely no FOV.
FOV being field of vision. Right?
Yeah, there's no slider.
How far you can see.
It's set at a default 90. It's set at a default 90, as well as the new gen consoles of PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S. those are capped at 120 frames per second. However, right, there's no graphic settings that you can edit. So obviously, us guys being on PC, we know that if you lower your graphic settings, you're going to get a more consistent frame rate from your machine than you would on super ultra settings, right? So that being said, the default ultra settings on console don't give you that consistent 120. So you're more so playing at about 100. And if they dump like 6 ult or 5 ults per team fight, then it'll drop even lower.
Right, and also I guess one thing I've heard console players say is like, well, turning is a lot slower. So like just looking around.
That's
there's
what
no-
I was. That's what I was gonna say, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's like that's what I was gonna say. It's like a lot of people are hell bent on aim assist, but you got to remember that like the controller is set up to where you're limited to how much you can turn, but also just input, like how much you can fire, how fast you can use your abilities. Like, you know, there's other aspect about console versus PC that's like if you're hell bent on aim assist, you got to consider the disadvantages that console controller players are also facing too. Where you like, I don't know how many fingers you guys have at your disposal for keyboard and mouse, you know, to use your abilities, but like I have like 8. I have 8 fingers of keyboard and mouse. On controller, I have 4, and 2 of them are on my thumbsticks. You know, so like I have less actions per minute on console, so that's like a bigger disadvantage compared to a keyboard and mouse. So when people are saying that console can outperform a keyboard and mouse player, it's like, well, is it just because of aim assist, or are you considering everything that encompasses? You know what I mean?
I'd like to add in if I can, like with the whole movement, we're just going to talk about strictly movement, right? So for controller, your left joystick moves you front, back, left, right. And on PC, WASD, you're committing 3 fingers for your movement on PC with M and K. Now on console, you're committing just your thumb, right? So that in itself gives you more of a movement advantage on PC, being that you're using 3 fingers as opposed to just your left thumb. Because, I mean, I don't know. I feel like committing the 3 fingers to your keyboard as opposed to just 1 thumb gives you a slight advantage with movement. That's what I've noticed. Whenever I played console, my movement was not as good as it is on PC, being that I'm committing 3 fingers to strictly movement than I would be just my thumb, right? And I can press any of these buttons at any times. On controller, I can go up or back one at a time. PC, I can just go bam, 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 just go wherever. You know what I mean?
Also, is it also not the case that with PC you can go, so you're holding A, you're going left, and you hold D, you're going immediately, you go the other direction, whereas in console you have to drag it across the center point, right?
You drag it across. Yeah, you drag it across.
isn't as hard.
Yeah,
Well, and that.
you can
that's
slow
what I
walk
was
on
saying.
console. You can go halfway, you can go the full way, but majority you're just always going to go the full way, right? You don't want to be walking slow because then people are just going to blow your head off, right?
And depending on how you set up your controller too, like you also have to consider like spam crouching on controller. I like again, maybe this is just a rank issue, but like I rarely ever ran into that because people don't like set up the controller where they have to set up on the B button, but most people aren't going to be like switching back and forth between the crouch and the movements. Whereas on PC, you always have at least your pinky on the controller, whatever you have it set up. So you always have access to these actions, where on console, you might not even think to use that action because it's not set up optimally, if that's the word.
Like say you're on default controller settings and you're trying to aim and crouch or hit an alt at the same time. You have to stop aiming. You have to take your this is default settings. This isn't like if you have custom settings. This is default. If you're playing controller and you want to take your right thumb off of the joystick to crouch, which would be B, or to hit your alt, which would be Y, you have to completely remove your thumb from your aim stick to your D-pad. Or, sorry, not D-pad, but, you know, the letters, the buttons for your abilities and stuff. So you just have to remove your thumb from aiming for a split second, which could be a pretty huge disadvantage mid-team fight because we all know in Overwatch, 1 second means an entire team fight, right?
Yeah, and
Right.
I do think
We
that's
know
something
that. You'd be
PC
surprised.
Well, yeah. Most people should know that. Most people should, but not everyone.
So
And
Zach,
I think
I'll
that,
let
but
you
I
get your
do
point,
think
and then
that's
I want to take it to Sam after. So
I do
just
think that's
continue.
something that PC players forget is that like you know, you don't realize just how fast you're moving, where on controller you're how not slow but limited you're moving to abilities, and how in a fast-paced game like Overwatch that has a way bigger like impact than aim assist. You know what I mean? And that's just my thoughts on that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree. That is good.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean, that's. Oh, sorry. You want to go first?
No, you go ahead, Hcpeful.
Okay. Just one more thing. Also, the movement is also you could immediately tell the difference in movement between a console player and a PC player, because I'll keep referencing like on how the fact that the average GM player on a console is not the same as PC, and it's extremely true when you look at the movement when you play against a support on console. Like the thing with console, the limited player base, right? So when you play against somebody like you don't know who they are, most of the time they're not like a true grandmaster, and they'll walk in straight lines or they won't crouch spam. They'll just be moving like casual
they're
80 straight. Yeah, they just have
There's
really
robots.
bad
That's
movement.
what
Yeah,
they
like
are.
they
They're
move like
robots.
AI robots. Like you'll one clip a BAP, like you'll blink up to him and you give him like a 2-second reaction time, and then he's dead, doesn't even turn around.
Yeah, he won't even turn and shoot you. That's just
He won't even throw his lamp. They can't even like it's just that's just really obvious, the movement difference when you just actually play the game and you see it. It's like, whoa, it's like these people are grandmaster. Like you just think that. But yeah.
Right. And I will just, I want to take it to Sam now, because I'll just chime in from my side, which is that, again, as someone who's conducted a lot of like cross-play pugs, and I've had also, we did a version of the what I call the unlucky challenge, where we took console players, we just took the individual console player and put him in a PC lobby of the rank that they were. And all of them basically unanimously said the number one thing that struck them, they were like, that was way faster. Like, that was so much faster than my rank.
That's what I noticed when I started to play PC a lot more consistently. And I think an example of this is when I play Mei and I'm going up against a Genji and I'm freezing him, console Genji will just back up. He'll just back up. But a PC player, he'll actually turn around. And I know that seems like that doesn't seem real, but it's like that was the biggest change, is that when I was playing Mei and going up a Genji and he dashed away, I'm like, wait, no, you're supposed to be frozen. Why? How did you do that so quick?
That is I think that's just a player issue. I think that's like PC people having
and maybe
a little
it
bit
is,
more
but,
brains than Xbox or
but also
console.
like to what you were saying with Baptiste, like he's not reacting to throwing a lamp, where every Baptiste I go up against, he's instantly throwing a lamp. Like, you're supposed to be dead. Like it's just so much quicker, man.
That's how,
that's
right. Well, I want to then let Sam chime in now. We've had a good console side. So
you're
Sam,
good.
Does this change any of how you feel?
So let me completely acknowledge that I agree with some of the stuff that you guys are saying. You're completely like FOV that should have been addressed forever ago.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree a little bit about like the frame stuff, because you could make the same argument about PCs on their own. Some PCs are high caliber and some aren't. So is it a game developer's job to try to compensate between the difference in technology in terms of software? I think the answer is no. But I promise I'm going to get to a big point later in this podcast that's going to be kind of a big ball drop that I have not really talked about yet. It's kind of a hot take. I don't think many people have been talking about. It's kind of a hot take, but I want to lead into it a little bit because I can't really drop.
Okay.
Actually, I'll drop it now. I think the biggest jump that the gaming industry made, conclusion jump, and something that we have to accept, is that shooter games, controller and mouse and keyboard, do not belong together. I don't think crossplay is fair. There's no possible way to make it fair. And I don't think in any serious competitive setting, quick play, casual, sure, but there's no way to make it fair. And I think you should be matched off your input, which we'll talk about Ximmers here in a bit. But FOV, I think you guys are completely right on. I think it's silly that I think all consoles, especially next generation, who are capable of getting better graphics, should be able to change their FOV. I agree with you on the movement in Overwatch, but in other games, and I have to kind of bring up other games.
But then that's kind of irrelevant then.
It's not irrelevant because my takes previously about aim assists were about the industry as a whole, and I think as someone who has infamous aim assist discussion, which is why I'm on this panel, I feel like I should have the chance to elaborate.
Okay,
and acknowledge your all's point that it is absolutely different in Overwatch, and I agree with you. My biggest hate for aim assist comes from Warzone. It ruined the game, and I just want to give the context here, and I will 100% acknowledge that this has nothing to do with what you guys have said about Overwatch, and you're right about the movement in Overwatch. However, joystick movement in that game was better than mouse and keyboard because you could quickly move and turn, and your aim assist literally would just lock on and hip fire, and it is way stronger in that game. So when I come off very aggressive about aim assist, and my biggest fear, Warzone being another Activision Blizzard title, when they tend to cater to that style of play and helping players to help increase player duration and time, because that's where the real aim assist discussion has happened. It's been in the Warzone community, because that's where the drama is huge over there. A ton of like that's where a lot of the studies have been done from the devs talking about what results have happened and what haven't. You know, it's way too powerful there, and I think it's absolutely valid fear to be concerned about that coming towards Overwatch, especially when they backtracked initially on keeping aim assist out of quick play. And again, I want to acknowledge that you guys are right about the difference and disparity between the ability to turn and all of those things. But from a PC player's perspective, why does that mean, and what conclusion, why does that mean that there should be artificial aim in our games? If we're playing PC, we've been PC purists for 10 plus years. A lot of these guys have been on PC forever, right? What's fun about PC shooters is that there's no help for players. It is hardcore mode. It is the upper skill ceiling. It is, in my opinion, and I'm curious what you guys would say to this, it is the best platform for shooters, period, end of story. Why should PC have to deal with software on controllers and have that burden on PC lobbies? Because some console players are at disadvantages. Because, I mean, you could argue frames, sure, but that could go either way. You could say a bad PC, but specifically movement, etc. Why would we have to deal with that? And my answer is that it shouldn't. That's my answer. I don't think crossplay should really be a thing aside from quick play, right? But why do those things and those burdens directly equate to us having to deal with aim assist in PC lobbies?
Would it actually be a burden though? But
yes.
It would be a true burden where, considering not just aim assist, but all the other things that we mentioned before, the movement and all that, would it truly be something where it ruins your experience?
It would negate the experience. Yes, it wouldn't ruin it, but it would definitely make the experience objectively worse.
Even if you were dunking on all the console player or the console players and everything, like
it's not as simple as win or loss. Like at the end of the day, like it's a burden to console players that they have to go against players who can turn fast and all this stuff. That's why I'm saying like these things are fundamentally different. They're almost incomparable. They probably don't belong together, to be honest with you. That's the conclusion I've come to. And then I think that the gaming industry kind of jumped the gun on crossplay, and in my opinion, it's better for games, PC shooters, to just be raw player input, regardless of who's at a disadvantage or what. Especially, and this is the only real thing that you can do, is you have to give players the option to opt in or out. If crossplay is forced, I think that's a massive mistake, and I'm glad that Overwatch didn't do that. So it lets players pick and choose.
I agree.
I agree with that too. I was just playing a devil's advocate.
No, you're good. Like it's healthy discussion. I love this. This helps me think about new ideas, and I'll probably change some of my opinions today too. Because hearing about I didn't think about the movement disparity from Overwatch compared to Warzone. Because in my mind, I'm thinking Warzone nightmare, right? You know, like I'm playing Warzone so much.
It really wouldn't be. In order for crossplay to even be a thought with Blizzard and like console and PC, there'd have to be so many steps that would have to be took for it to be thought out, which I don't think would ever happen because Blizzard neglects so much of console. Like Blizzard favors PC obviously because Overwatch is meant to be a game played on mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
But I think, in my opinion, in order for a PC and console to have crossplay, one, obviously, full MMR reset. They'd have to fix this terrible matchmaking. This matchmaking, like they fixed it 4 to 5 times. Like,
yeah,
it's so bad. And I don't know. I'm playing these like last season of Overwatch in season 2. Like I would get contender lobbies and out lobbies like consistently. And now I load into a lobby and there's just like 5 different swanky pants. Just diamond last season, diamond this season.
Pants.
But yeah, full MMR reset. They need to fix the matchmaking. Like Overwatch 1's matchmaking and that ranking system was fine. I don't know why we're like straying away from something that was working. Like it was working. Everyone was fine with SR. It was different from other games.
Had to be remade. I think something to do from what I've heard. SVB, correct me if I'm wrong. The analogy they used about the Overwatch engine was that it was like duct tape. Like basically all rolled up, and like if you change one thing, like the roll, like so with the new engine, they just had to make it. Regardless, it's a tough conversation to have right now. And I agree with you. And I hope I used to say, and this is where I was wrong. And I will openly admit I was completely wrong. That I said that if Overwatch could do crossplay better than any other game because of how many different skill sets are required to be in Overwatch. But as I've watched more crossplay games unfold and even see like the difference between console, like you guys talked about, the movement, all that stuff. I think they're so fundamentally different that they shouldn't be compared. They're apples to oranges, and we're trying to make it one fruit, and it's just not. It's not possible. It's not possible.
I want to.
Sorry, I just want to take. Sorry, Leo. I will let you get going. I want to take
You're
stock because we've kind of thrown a lot of ideas out, and if anyone's not been able to follow up, I just want to like summarize because I think we're talking about aim assist in a few different contexts. So obviously Sam has brought in Warzone, and I think it is appropriate. We've kind of laid out why aim assist and just console crossplay is way different in Overwatch, and you guys very eloquently put that why. But I do think it is fair for Sam and other people who are detractors of crossplay to be afraid of what has happened in other games, because we obviously have to look at the wider context of how it has manifested in other games. It has always been it is a problem in every game that it exists competitively, right? Like whether that's Warzone, whether that's Apex, any game that has competitive crossplay, I think has had controversy around how that has been implemented. Overwatch has only had it in quick play. So if we're doing this little thought experiment of how would it... Yeah,
opt-in.
And it's opt-in. So if we're doing this little thought experiment of like, well, what if we dropped it in the comp? Then I think it's fair to keep that wider context in mind. And I guess I'll summarize Samito's point, and Sam, disagree if I summarize you incorrectly. But essentially, when we play a competitive FPS, we're playing competitive, we're trying to match each other on our skill. We're trying to test our skill. We're like, okay, are you better than me at this thing? And what Sam is saying is, well, the inputs are so different, you're no longer comparing your skill. You're now you're corrupting that process by bringing in something that it's measuring something else. Like you're measuring something totally different. So it defeats the point of having a competitive system.
And I can feel that. I can
Makes
feel
sense,
that.
yeah, it's fair. I mean, it's like it's just 1-to-1, no aim assist. Like, okay, I shot their Widow, I outplayed their Widow. As compared to like playing on console, it's like or console versus PC. If a console Widow kills a PC Widow, he's gonna be like, did he really shoot me? Did he outplay me, or was it like that little extra kick from the aim assist? That makes sense.
I think, sorry if you say anything, but I want to go back to what Samito was saying about how he talks about PC shooters and console shooters. So when you mentioned Warzone, and I know aim assist killed Warzone, but the thing is, when you look at a game like Warzone and COD, those are controller games. Like COD is it's a console game. And if you look at Halo, like if you try to play mouse and keyboard on Halo, you'll get destroyed by a controller.
Oh, but it's 100%.
Yeah, it's a controller game. Overwatch though, it's a hard mouse and keyboard game. It is so much better. Yeah, it's so much better mouse and keyboard. And I know you want to say like, oh, it's gonna be a burden to PC players, but like the thing is, I'm not saying SVB's games have been like, oh, it's like this is the proof that console is just worse than PC. But the thing is, like what we've seen so far is that there hasn't been a single time, other than the extremely high ranks, that aim assist has genuinely been a problem. Like,
right? Yeah.
I think that what a lot of people on PC.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit, real quick? Sorry, do you mean like in those titles or in
Overwatch? He's referencing like the pugs that we did where we compared players at equal ranks.
Okay.
And they, like I said, they all lost outside of GM. And there were different teams, so we would take like three different random assortment of plat players from each platform, and outside of GM they all lost. So I would having watched that, my personal conclusion would be that console is at least one rank below the equivalent PC rank. So if you're like plat on console, in Overwatch, you're probably like gold.
Sorry, continue.
Overwatch.
So I just wasn't sure
continue.
So
continue, Leo. Continue, hopeful.
Yeah. So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So we saw in SVB that aim assist is never a problem for anybody below the highest rank. And I mentioned earlier how the team that I played on, we were like the best players. And I just don't think that aim assist, like I know you said earlier, Sam, about how it's like you said it's basically aimbot, and no one argues that it is. It's like a soft. It's like
it's a type. It's a very minor.
It's a very minor type.
It's an assist.
It's an assist.
It literally
it's necessary. That's the thing, because if you try to aim precisely with a thumbstick,
it's so hard.
It's incredibly hard. It is.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that at all.
So
I agree.
Aim assist is needed. Like that's the thing. Like if you ever have a controller title besides Rainbow you don't have aim assist, but you need the aim assist. And I think that it just won't be, especially in Overwatch. Maybe like in Halo, COD, I've mentioned it's a huge problem, but in Overwatch, it just will not be this huge problem that like everybody's talking as if it's like controller players are going to come on PC and just destroy everybody. Like the diamonds are going to just drop. Like the PC diamonds are just going to get destroyed. Like we've seen with SVB, anybody below the top tier of console just does not compete with PC.
Hello guys, SCB here. Just want to quickly interrupt this episode of the Group Up Podcast to say that if you've been enjoying this content, then please do consider supporting me directly via Patreon. It really does help since Patreon only takes about 10% of your money, where YouTube and Twitch take 40 and 50% respectively. So it supports me and allows me to keep making videos no matter how many views they do or don't get. Also, if you are really enjoying this discussion, then why not consider watching some of my other content? First and foremost, my Twitch stream where this podcast is hosted live, and I stream 5 days a week doing a bunch of other things as well. If you're not much of a Twitch viewer, then you can check out the SVB side channel where all the best bits from the stream go straight to YouTube in highlight format, including VOD reviews, gameplay, and streamer formats such as the Fantasy Overwatch or Rank Gauntlet that you may have seen other streamers participate in. And finally, if you're sick of Overwatch, then you could check out my other channel, The Soak, which is where I do movie and TV breakdowns. And I've done videos on things like Avatar The Last Airbender, Pixar's Up, and anime like Haikyuu. So if any of that sounds up your street, then all the links are in the description. But now, back to the discussion. So
and that's kind of what like Worth was saying, is that they would need an MMR reset, but then that's what Samito will say is that like, and what I was kind of like trying to play devil's advocate for is that like, would it be a true Buden? So then when all the rank is corrected and everyone is at the same rank, whether it's a console diamond now is at gold facing against a gold, then Samito is going to say then it's not a true competition. It's like there's aim assist here, then there's not aim assist here. He beat me because of aim assist. And so I can see Samito, but I also see Hcpeful's point of view where it's just like, it's really not going to be a case at the beginning where aim assist is going to overtake it, but then at the same time I could see Samito saying it's like then it's not a competitive shooter because there's aim assist here, not here. You know,
Sam, is that what you would say? Is that what you would say, Sam?
So a couple things. One, I want to briefly touch on like the Halo and Call of Duty, and traditionally you are right that Call of Duty and Halo were back in the day, they were console shooters even now. But here's my point. Call of Duty was its biggest it's ever been when it finally made a game that appealed to a PC audience, being Warzone. Before that, it was not popular on PC, right? And, you know, back in the day, back when consoles were really dominating, right? You know, it was Modern Warfare 2. It was all that stuff. But the first time that Call of Duty really climbed to the game of all games, everybody was playing Warzone in 2020, right? It was the biggest game, was when they finally appealed to a PC audience. And how's Halo doing nowadays? It's dead, right? It's died. And my big, and this is mostly conjecture, but I just want to address it real quick. And my reasoning for that is because they did not keep up with modern gaming, and that they have not made a Halo game that actually appeals to a PC audience. Because if you want a shooter game to be the most popular nowadays, it absolutely must be able to appeal to a PC audience. And I'm not saying it needs crossplay. Like, crossplay has to be forced. Like, the biggest mistake Warzone made is forcing crossplay, right? I don't want to play against aim assist every game. And again, this is my major point. These two inputs do not belong together in shooter games. They don't. There's no way to make it fair. There's no way to make both parties happy, because, and again, I get your point. I'm not saying aim assist isn't needed on controller. I'm saying it's not fair to PC players to force them, or even have them have to have the choice of going up against players who have aim assist regardless of what their other burdens are, because it ruins our game experience just from being in the game regardless of the detriments that are there. And again, this is why it's fundamentally flawed, because I agree with you. In console v console, controller v controller, I have no problem with aim assist there. It is harder to aim, especially when you get better, with a joystick compared to a mouse and keyboard, because this, like, as you get better, mouse and keyboard is better at skill expression. It absolutely is. That's not the PC player's point. The PC player's point is, and this is way more so in other games than Overwatch, to again tip the hat that Overwatch has just done it better with the opt-in option, which is so much better. That's not what it means to have a shooter game on PC. It's just not. And just because you rightfully want aim assist on your controller does not mean that we as PC players and mouse and keyboard players should have to play against it, when our FPS games have always been, from day one, strictly about player skill expression, no artificial software. It is just you, what you're capable of, and there's a beauty in that, especially as competitors. I know both of you guys are competitors, and you love the scene and you love competing, and I wish that you guys on console got more opportunities, because you guys are right. You didn't. I don't see why there shouldn't be some kind of contenders trials or something on console. I think that would be really interesting to see. I mean, I'm sure you guys tell me if there's been PlayStation versus Xbox tournaments. I'm sure the Xbox guys would win. I know. I can't think.
That's
I know
something we'll get to
Yasmin-
as well. We'll get to the console like competitive scene as well at a certain point.
Can I give a solution and a great segue? A great
All right.
segue because
that's what I was gonna say. It's like it just seems like we're at a standstill. It's okay. Then what's
and
like,
this is the debate, and this is where everyone gets stuck. But I think that you can have cross-platform play, but you need to match players based off their input. So if you're on PC, you get a PC, you want to play a controller, you can still play the console lobbies. And this is what you do to the dirty little cheating Ximmers who are cheaters. If you Zim, let me just make this comment very clear. If you are Zimming and using aim assist on mouse and keyboard, or even Zimming at all, you are a cheater. You are cheating. There's nothing else to say. And here's what you do to the Zimmers if you allow cross input play and you match based off input, because I don't have a problem with the someone who transfers from console to PC and wants to have their, they plug in their controller and then they can play in the controller pool, right? Because it's really about input. Put those Zimmers in the mouse and keyboard lobbies and make them play without their aim assist if they want to do that. I don't have a problem with that. They'll come on PC, we'll farm them. They're good. Come on over here, right? But that's the only solution, and we can. If you guys have any other closing points, that's fine, because I feel like we are kind of going like back and forth.
Yeah,
but Zimming's cheating. And I acknowledge that aim assist can be on controller, but that does not mean that it's fair to the PC players to have to deal with that, especially if it's forced on them, like in other titles.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, I was just gonna touch on the console pool because I always get that. I think it's such a silly suggestion. While the idea makes sense on paper, it makes sense, but in execution, how would it work? Because I plug in my controller once I get into that game, I plug it out, and then I put in my keyboard and mouse there and whatnot. So, what? So I wouldn't be able to play the game and whatnot unless I have the controller.
So how Warzone does it is like you have to choose your input before you go into the lobby or the queue, and if you get in the game and you unplug it, your other input just doesn't work.
Yeah, I just thought that there would be some sort of way to whether it's like an adapter or something. I just didn't know the technology behind it, how it could work, versus just if you want to play on keyboard and mouse, play keyboard and mouse. If you want to play on console, play with your controller. If you want to Zim, there is that option there. You're not going to be. I don't want to say the word respected, but it's there is that option.
No, you're not respected. You're cheating. You're cheating.
I'm not going to make that claim.
I just want to chime in here because we haven't really explained what Zimming is. We'll get to the Zimming section in a second.
True.
I'll just let Leo and Worth kind of chime in because basically Sam has kind of made it clear his stance, and I think he well speaks for other people who believe the same thing. That look, these inputs just can't be the same. I don't want to play a competitive game where I'm up against console with aim assist. Just that's Sam's stance. I just don't want it. And there's many other people who feel I just don't want it. I'm curious to see if Worth and Hcpeful, if you guys are of the mind that it can be done for Overwatch. Again, we've kind of talked about the doomsday of what has happened in other games. Do you guys feel like with the aim assist being reasonable, as you said in Overwatch, that it's something that could be done?
I think it's something that could be done, being that now with Samito's point, he's arguing that everyone in any rank that plays on controller with aim assist is just gonna hard dump every lobby.
I don't think he's saying they're gonna hard dump. He's just saying that it wouldn't be fair even when they're matched at the right elo.
It doesn't matter if they're winning or losing.
It ruins the integrity.
It pulls the integrity a little bit. It pulls the integrity a little bit. But I don't know, with the things we saw with SVB and the J3 stuff, there's only a select handful of DPS players that can compete on controller. Now, I will say that I saw on Leo's stream, he went through the DPS leaderboard on console, and half of it's our Zimmers. Now, there's only less than 5 actually really, really good controller DPS players, so it wouldn't be as oppressive as you might think. It may skew the integrity slightly, but it's not going to be some oppressive I don't know the word to explain it, but it wouldn't be
overbearing.
It wouldn't be overbearing. It wouldn't be overbearing.
It's overbearing in Warzone. It wouldn't be overbearing in Overwatch. I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, Warzone. Yeah, that Warzone nuked, but Overwatch it wouldn't be as overbearing. It would. Honestly, I don't even think if they added it now, I don't think anyone would realize it, to be honest, because the people's aim on controller is not that good unless you're at the high level. Then you tend to notice it more.
Right. And hopeful I'll just get you to chime in before we actually introduce the zimming topic, because I'm sure a lot of people listening are like, from PC side, are like, what the hell is a zim?
I just want to talk about how Samito says like the integrity of it. Like you like I know what you mean when you say that like, oh, like did he when you play against a controller player, like they have aim assist, but I don't think that like that should I know that your controller has aim assist and you're using raw aim, the mouse is just raw aim, but I don't think that I think that the argument of having a controller without aim assist versus a mouse, like that wouldn't be like fit, like that wouldn't be fair at all. Like the thing is, like you could argue that it's like aim assist is broken, but the controller like needs it. And I might just be repeating what we said earlier, but I just don't think that on Overwatch specifically, it's just an argument of integrity. Like, because I know we've said a lot how console players just get stomped on, but you could say that that doesn't matter, but it does just because of the fact that you need the aim assist, and like I've said already, it's not like I don't know how to word it. It's just the point of integrity when you're versing a controller as a mouse player or like it just wouldn't. I don't think that you'd ever question that. Like, was that fair? Especially on Overwatch.
Right.
You do though. You do though. Anybody who's ever played a PC game, and again, it's not about. It doesn't matter how strong it is, right? And it doesn't matter if the input's a controller. It doesn't. You could be aiming with a toothbrush or even a mouse. It doesn't matter if whatever the input someone's using is, regardless of what disadvantages they do have or advantages they do have. Because I agree with you, a controller, especially the better you get, is not optimal for a shooter game. At the end of the day. And this is why I am saying they don't belong, right? They do not belong together. They don't. They're too different. You can't get it to work in a fair way. People who play shooter games on mouse and keyboard do it with raw input, no matter how minor the actual assisted input is from a software side. It doesn't matter. The integrity of the game is ruined because forever on PC, it has always been about raw input. And the second that changes, no matter what degree, no matter if you're still rolling, no matter if you're still doing whatever, it diminishes the integrity and quality of the game.
I think this is again, it's a philosophical impasse.
It's philosophical, yes. And I get, like, I want to make it clear, I totally get what you're saying, and I totally acknowledge that console players rightfully would want aim assist in their lobbies. I'm not saying you shouldn't have it in your games. I'm saying that if they were to go together, it would diminish the PC player's experience and overall hurt the game experience for everybody. And that's why I think they don't belong.
Yeah, and I think if I could just summarize this, because it is a philosophical impasse, basically, where, Hopeful and Worth are kind of the POV. Well, look, in Overwatch, it's not that, like, the aim assist is barely leveling the playing field. Even the aim assist is still putting the console players at a disadvantage overall when you consider all the other disadvantages they are, when we talked about the movement and the field of vision and all this other stuff. So your guys' POV is like, look, we could put it in Overwatch, it wouldn't be oppressive, it wouldn't dominate the game like you think it would. And Sam is saying, well, okay, that's fine, but it doesn't matter to me because at that point it ruins the
idea of everyone being equal.
Yes,
for who you're
and
playing
I think there was, there is a lot of PC players. Yeah, go ahead, Sam. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but like you could say the same thing for console, even with aim assist, because everyone on console, aside from the Ximmers who are cheating, right, are on, which we'll get to. Sorry, I keep bringing it up, but we haven't explained it. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. But like, the guy who's a crossover, well, I guess you don't, aside from the Ximmers, on console, is playing on the same input as you. As maybe some have an elite controller, maybe on PC, some people have better PCs, but generally speaking, that they have the exact same tools that you do to win, right? And that's what makes the game fair. That's what makes the game have integrity, is that to maybe a very small margin, you and the player across from you are playing at the same. You've been supplied with what I like to call fair play. The game developers have given each player across from each other the same tool, in the same way that in basketball, everyone has the same amount of court to work with. The balls you use are the same, right? And that it's all about raw talent with what you have worked on in your own skill.
Okay, so sorry, Sam. I'm just gonna cut because we've kind of gone over this a few times now.
Too long. Yeah,
we've said this a lot, and I get it. Like that difference will remain, and now we keep alluding around this. But we should now explain, and I'll let either Hopeful or Worth. Guys, can you just firstly actually explain what zimming is, and then why it's a problem? So, Leo, you look like you're chiming in. Yeah. What is zimming to someone who doesn't know at all?
Basically, what a Zim is, it's a third-party device for either PlayStation or Xbox, And what it allows you to do, it allows you to hook up your controller to it and also hook up a mouse and keyboard. And it mimics the input of a controller while allowing you to use your mouse and your keyboard. And the biggest thing about it is that it gives you aim assist with your mouse. That's the biggest complaint everyone has. That's what makes it cheating. The aim assist on the mouse just makes it completely unfair. It just completely throws off any controller versus controller like balance.
So it's kind of like having the best of both worlds, right? You have a mouse and keyboard, but you're also got the aim assist of console.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's the Zim. It's not like a lot of PC people will think like, okay, you just plug in a Zim to your Xbox and you have a perfect 1-to-1 ratio like you do on PC. But in actuality, the Zim is an emulator. There's a input delay on the Zim, as well as the turn cap from controller is also put onto the Zim. So it's not exactly 1-to-1 per se like PC would be with aim assist. Now, if it was like that, then console would be completely unplayable. Like that, you would just never be able to play it ever. But because most of the Zimmers on console are actual terrible players. Like you can kind of tell when someone's zimming because they'll be standing still on high ground on soldier, like laser beaming your head, not moving a single button, just aiming at you and just killing you. But like, yeah, it's like an emulator. It's not anything like 1-to-1 ratio, but it's still in fact hard cheating, and it needs to be dealt with.
Right, and so to clarify, and again, feel free, any of you console side people to chime in. But am I correct in saying that it's not allowed by most games? Is that correct?
It's frowned upon, is what I always say. You're obviously not going to get banned, but it's frowned upon. Like at least from Overwatch's perspective. I don't know. Like they always said like you can't do it, but there's no way that they can police it. If I can truly believe that.
Yeah, I thought they said back in the day, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, because you all would know. I'm pretty sure they said it was bannable at one point.
Yeah,
there's just no way
ago.
to know. But that was like 2016.
Yeah, I remember I saw that
years
video
ago.
forever ago. They're like, we don't endorse.
I mean, obviously it's not. Like, obviously they haven't. So like, I mean, I think it's.
So
safe to
how
assume
is it? How is it? So how does one enforce zimming? Like from your end, like the console end, is it tellable that the Zim is being used, or is it really hard?
Kind of. You just can tell that it's like there's no shot he can move like that quick and have that much inputs and have that good of aim. It's just like maybe it is skill issue, but it's also just like something that's like there's just no shot. Like you can just after enough games, you can tell that's not console aim.
Yeah, you know who's zimming and know who's not zimming, right?
And what about from the console end? Like, does the console know the input?
It's a Microsoft issue. It's that Microsoft would have to step up and like this like not allow from happening. But I'm pretty sure they plan to like add the ability to just plug in mouse and keyboard, or is that there now?
I mean, they're a PC company, so of course they would love to have keyboard and mouse.
Fortnite does that.
Yeah,
no. It's not just up to Microsoft per se, because even with the recent, I'm not sure if you guys have seen with the Rainbow Six stuff, they added a Zim detection system to where they don't ban the player for zimming. However, if you continue zimming for a couple games, what they'll do is they'll make the zimmer lag. It'll just build up over time until your game is unplayable. And then in order to remove the lag, you have to play on controller. So like, say you're cheating, you play 7 games. On that 7th game, your game is literally unplayable. And in order to go fix the lag to go back to what it normally is, you have to play 7 games on controller to get it back to what it was. It kind of just like... Yeah. Instead of banning them entirely, it just like levels the playing field for everybody, if that makes sense. I mean, I think that's better for the game than banning Zimmers, because say Blizzard were to just come out randomly ban everyone with a Zim plugged into their Xbox, right? That's a lot of players that will be removed from the game. I don't think that's right. Just because of Blizzard's neglect, they shouldn't ban people 7 years later. I think they should come out and make a statement and be like, okay, we're coming out with this cheating input detection system, and if you don't follow the rules, then blah 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 will happen, right?
To that I'll say, it's not that Blizzard wouldn't care, but obviously that takes manpower, and I you guys can attest to this, but I think obviously for Hcpeful and Worth and all of them, like zimming is a problem because they're in the top echelon of people, like in the top of people. It's not that big of an issue for the majority of players, so to Blizzard, it's like, it's not worth our time or money to try to get that system in place. Well, so I think that
It's
Like,
just
I mean,
because it's console. They don't give a shit about console.
Sure,
I was
or that,
about
or
to
that.
say- I
I
was
don't know
about to
what.
say that they don't
I
care
don't, I
about
don't know
console.
what the reason is, but I think that would be
we're
better.
gonna put this hypothetically. Hypothetically speaking, say console. You say you can have aim assist on controller on PC, right? This is all hypothetical, and you have a Zimmer going against OWL players or contenders players. The top Zimmer will absolutely dumpster the contenders player just because of the aim assist with the mouse.
Yeah.
Now, then it would be addressed, but
Yeah.
since it's console, Blizzard does not give like one or two shits about console. They don't care at all, really.
Can I add on to your statement and try to like
Yeah.
hone it in a little bit better? So
Yeah.
we've seen some numbers. It's not that they don't give a shit about console. It's that even compared to PC, I think there was a number put out from Kaplan a couple years ago. 70% of the PC audience played quick play and casual only, and 30% played competitive. And I think, and this is ballpark, I saw it on some blog post, but on console, 90% was casual quick play and only 10% was competitive. And now that's all ranks competitive too, right? So I don't think it's fair to say that they don't care about console. I think that it's a more of a competitive scene, which is already a niche in Overwatch to begin with, right? Which even on PC, people have talked about the Overwatch League struggles on their own, right? So not only are you, a niche, but you're a niche in the niche, right?
Right.
So
And
it
also,
gets
I
a
think
little bit tough.
I think if you were to tell the devs, again to add on, I think if you were to say to the devs, hey guys, do you not care about zimming? They'd be like, we do care. But the one theme of Overwatch 2 has always been resource priority, right? It's always a case of like, oh, if you want that, that's going to set back this thing, right? So if you're like, hey guys, can you work on zimming for console? They'll be like, yeah, we can do that, but then you won't have a hero for the next 3 seasons. Because that's like the manpower will go from that to that, right? So like that's always been the case. So I can totally get your frustration because it affects your game, but I guess the developer thing would be like, we understand the frustration, but we have to play the big picture of like, well, yeah, but you want the game to be playable, you want there to be content more than you want there to be no zimmers.
It's also not their responsibility. It's Microsoft's, most importantly. Microsoft should be able to get in there and address this on their own. It's their console. It's people gimmicking their console input. Blizzard's kind of on the receiving end of the downside. But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
I know how you said it's not that Blizzard doesn't care, but I genuinely think it's that they don't care. I know you're talking about how like it's a really niche community, but the thing is with console, there's been so many console specific things that people complained about forever that were never addressed. Right now, there's still an ongoing issue where your frames drop if you play the game too much. And I've been told that some people went to tell the devs, like, hey, this is an issue, but still, I've yet to see it solved. There's another glitch right now where a Baptiste immortality field, if you throw it down, the aim assist on it just goes bonkers and you literally cannot aim at anything else.
It'll drag across your screen. No, it's
Yeah.
not like a competitive niche, more so Samito and SVB. There's a lot of issues standing outside of competitive that fall into the casual category that are also not being addressed. Like, say, for example, we'll just say the reporting system. They just redid the UI recently with the whole, like, specifically reporting for cheating or whatever.
Yeah.
No one on console that I've seen personally. Now, I could be wrong, but the reporting system genuinely does not work. The reporting system on console in Overwatch is a joke. Like, that is a joke. Nothing ever gets
How
done
does it
through
not
them.
work exactly? Like what happens?
Like, you can report someone, it'll say, oh, thank you for reporting, blah, blah, blah. But you'll never load in, like on PC, I'll report someone for, I don't know, griefing a game or whatever. I'll get a little pop-up saying, hey, thanks for your report, blah, blah, blah. We took action. But no one on console has ever been banned. Like, the only people that get banned from Xbox are like the reports on their profile as compared to the in-game reporting.
Okay.
Yeah, in-game reports don't work, but the Microsoft like reporting their account will work.
Right, so it has to go beyond just the game. Like it has to be like a wide scale.
Yeah, it has to be. There's two different reporting systems. One's for the
Oh.
Overwatch and one's for Xbox. You can report them on Xbox. Say they message you something not good or whatever, you report them, they'll get banned. But the in-game reports for Overwatch do absolutely nothing.
Interesting.
And but that also could be, and not to meet right Blizzard, but that could also be the case of like not reporting enough or something.
I was gonna say that.
I'm curious what they would say too. I'm curious if they give them a chance. If I wish somebody was here right now.
Yeah, because sometimes the devs are in my
Blizzard
chat.
Blizzard obviously would play like the presidential role, be like, oh, we care about reporting and just like be sure to report.
They don't.
And so like it's one of those things where it's like, well, you know. I am not saying you're wrong, Worth, at all. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I don't know.
I was thinking, no, I kind of want to go off what BroYouWack just said. It's also just kind of true. Some people actually just don't even report. Some people don't even bother. I feel like it's like a console stigma thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because I think everyone's realized like, oh, everyone on console thinks like, what's the point of reporting so that they don't? But I think recently didn't they say they changed it or something? Or I think they made a tweet. Overwatch made a tweet saying, console players, you guys can report if you go here, like a step-by-step guide on how to report. So I think it's a fact that they don't really look at console reports, but I also think it's also kind of a part of it is that people on console, people don't even report on console. Like people don't even utilize that like feature.
Yeah, they just kind of gave up on it after user neglect, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, like, again, like as Zach said, I don't want to be like, oh, I'm just dick riding Blizzard for no reason. Like, and I'm just trying to provide like balance, and because someone in my chat is saying, well, I get the console report message a lot of the time. Is it that maybe like what are the reasons that are being reported for? Like maybe they're not enforcing zimming if that's what you're reporting for potentially.
Oh no, they can't ban
like
Ximmers unless like it has to be like its own separate thing. You can't report someone for cheating, and it won't do anything.
Is it just a case that like there's not enough not enough of a percentage of the reports are going through? Because what they might say is, well, we are actually banning some people. It's just that we're not banning as many people.
Or hacker, or are you saying
what reports are we talking about?
That you're reporting?
Yeah, you can report anything. You can report like people saying like crazy stuff in match chat. People like say crazy stuff through the voice. Reporting Ximmers through the game for cheating do absolutely nothing. And there's no. You can't aimbot on console. I'm pretty sure it'd be insanely hard to have an aimbot or anything like that. It's a lot easier on PC. Now, the only form of cheating on Overwatch on console is primarily zimming. I guess you could say DOSing too, but
even that's been already established that that's not like a form of cheating, though. Not saying that we're not, or especially Samito's not saying it's not cheating, but like Blizzard has not really said that it is 1000%. If it hasn't been banned, then obviously, yeah, they're not going to take those reports serious.
They can't detect it. That's the problem. Yeah. It's like they're gaming the Xbox. They're not gaming Overwatch. They're gaming their literal Xbox, and that's a Microsoft. Hey, we need this acquisition to go through. Then we can start getting some progress. Microsoft, that would be a big win. That would be a huge win. Maybe.
Well,
I mean,
Sony
Zach, whatever. We don't care.
Well, Zach is saying that maybe Microsoft would be happy with it. Like they'd encourage zimming more.
No, well, I mean,
no,
they could detect it, and then they could do cross-input play, and then put those kids in PC lobbies without aim assist.
No, Microsoft might want more people like playing with keyboard and mouse because then they could sell more keyboard and mouse.
Well, they sell controllers too. I bought
a natural input. They just have to make it a natural input.
Yeah, at that point, just make a native input. Take away, say, hey, your Zim doesn't work anymore. If you want to play PC, plug in your mouse and keyboard regularly on your Xbox, and you'll be shipped away into the PC queues.
Well, they'd rather sell you controllers too because they don't actually make the peripherals that are mouse and keyboard. That's Logitech. That's other companies. They only make their money off selling the controllers.
They made money selling a console that already had a controller. So if they can make even more money.
No, well, okay. Let's not get into the hypotheticals of like how.
We're going on.
So let's hone back in.
Microsoft keyboard or Microsoft.
Let's hone back. Sorry. Let's hone back in. Let's hone back in. So we've kind of. I want to keep bringing up these issues because obviously I know the developers listen to this podcast, and obviously we've speculated to the issue of like, well, you guys saying reports do nothing. That's kind of been thrown out there. We've speculated from our end what could be the explanation from the Blizzard developer side, but it's all speculation. We don't know. We're just throwing shit out in the air. To my knowledge, there's not been any official like communication to be like, this is how it is on console, guys. We are actually banning people, and you don't realize it. So like, we'll wait until they actually make a statement. But I am curious to hear more of like, because you guys have expressed a sentiment like Blizzard doesn't care about console, and there's been many console issues over the years that aren't addressed. So I'd love for you guys to talk more about what those are so we can kind of be aware of them and there can be more awareness of it.
Absolutely. Like, just to go with the whole narrative that Blizzard doesn't give a shit about console, right? There was a bug on both platforms, PlayStation and Xbox, and I guess you could say Switch too, because they group that into consoles. There was a bug with the top 500 icon. Now I could be wrong on the time frame, but they just didn't exist in the game. There were no top 500 icons in the game for about 6 to 8 months, and that only fixed itself when they introduced crossplay. So like for like 2 or 3 seasons worth of Overwatch, there were no top 500 icons anywhere. It was only Grandmaster icons.
And again, I wanna provide like a potential response, but don't assume that is me like invalidating what you're saying. I'm not trying to gaslight your thing. I'm just gonna try and give a counterpoint, which Blizzard might say, well, okay, if they knew that because they're gonna have been working on crossplay for a while, so they would have been like, we knew it was coming in 6 months crossplay, so we just left the issue because again, manpower. We knew we were going to give you crossplay and that would fix the issue, so that's why we didn't prioritize giving you top 100 icons, which in the grand scheme of things, how much of that is it matter? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, it's niche, but I mean, I feel like with the amount Blizzard's worth, like billions of dollars or whatever, I think like they should not have that kind of thing in their games, in any game that they have, I feel.
No, that's totally
tough.
fair.
It gets tough in corporations though too. I agree,
Yeah.
bugs shouldn't happen, but like when you talk big corporate picture, it's very complicated.
They were more communicative about it.
it.
It's the fact that they don't say anything about it is like the issue. I mean, if they come out and say like, "Hey guys, we're sorry. We know you're having this issue. Blah blah blah. Your icons aren't showing up. We've been too busy focusing on crossplay." I think that would make everyone a lot more happy than just dead silence. Like people, I remember because me and Leo are part of the top 500 Xbox Overwatch community. Every single day, a lot of people would at Blizzard and say, "Yo, where's our icons at? Blah blah blah." This has been an ongoing issue for 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, coming on 2 or 3 seasons of Overwatch. If they were to say one thing like, "Hey guys, we hear you. We're working on it," that would be great. But it's just the lack of communication. I feel like the disconnect between Blizzard and the player base is so far apart. Like they don't know their own game and like what's happening in the game. Well, I mean, they do, but it's just a disconnect. You know what I mean? Like just more communication.
It's easy to let that.
To give you a better example of the disconnect of console and Blizzard, Ana, she didn't have ally aim assist sensitivity for like a year and a half or however long it was. And for a hero that requires aiming on the heroes, where you need that, aim assist sensitivity, to see that finally come into the game afterwards just kind of shows that, like, okay, there wasn't a strong thought to have that in the game for that long a time. There, to echo what Worth was talking about, there is that kind of thought of that Blizzard doesn't, I wouldn't say care, but think about console as extensively as PC.
Right, and I guess as well, it's the accumulation of problems, not necessarily like, hey, this is the one thing that proves that Blizzard doesn't care. It's like, it's the accumulation of like all these things, and none of them get communicated. Because even the PC players spent years being bitter about the lack of communication, right? So we know all too well how isolated you feel when the developers say nothing. Yeah. So go ahead, Hopeful. I think you were trying to say something.
Sorry, yeah. I just want to say, I think like the biggest thing ever, if you just look at how crossplay works with PC. When crossplay came out originally, I don't know, was it like 2 years ago now, something like that? You couldn't have any aim assist on PC, and everybody complained about it. They're like, "Hey, I want to play my PC friends. I want to have aim assist," and they didn't care when it was number one. They did not care at all. They didn't even add it. They're like, "Ah, whatever. Like, fuck you guys." But then once Overwatch 2 came out, they're like, everybody who knew was like, "Hey, where's my aim assist?" And they're like, "Oh my god, like new players, like please stay, like please stay. We want you guys to stay." Okay, like fine, we'll give you a little bit of aim assist and quick play. Like I think that's like, I'm not saying that that's like, oh, like the end all be all, like, oh, they don't care, but that's like another reason. Like they just don't.
In the face, kind of.
Yeah, it's like we've been asking for that forever, but now they want to cater to the newer players so that they don't like lose numbers. Like they don't care about the original console.
To be fair to them, there's definitely like a lot more going on at Activision Blizzard that you could say that about the entire IP. Right. So like, it's not that they're just neglecting you. It's like back then there was like a lot more adversity within the company about like what Overwatch 2 was. Like, we didn't get a new hero for 2 years. Right.
They were split. They were like half was working on just whatever Overwatch 1 and probably other half was split working on Overwatch 2, which I get, but they should just like announce that. They should be communicating.
Yeah, well, they did. Then to be fair to them, I think they've changed. I just think that in your all's case, you've just definitely gotten the short end of the stick. Like if we look in the big picture now, the umbrella, I think it's safe to say that things have been much better in this game. And I agree with you. And I hope that console gets more communication 100%. But I would say those specifically, you could argue for the IP and company like as an entirety. So I think I'd rather throw that under that umbrella and also be forward looking and kind of say, hey, guys, we feel like you're not communicating in X, Y, and Z. Can you guys like maybe look to do this more, right? Especially because the console audience is big. It's not small, right? It's a massive. Granted, it's more casual, so the
It's
player
huge.
icon one you might struggle with. you might struggle with the top 500 icon, right? But I'm really curious. Is there, just for anyone who might know, is there metrics that are public about what the split is for
No.
Overwatch between like the console players, like collectively?
Yeah.
I think they keep that on under hard wraps. I try to ask other creators
Locked
too,
away.
and I think that's intentional for business purposes or whatever the case may be, or I don't know, but yeah, I think they keep that pretty on lock.
Yeah, they like to hide numbers. They hide everything.
Yeah, that's pretty standard corporate behavior, to be fair. I think like the
Yeah.
less they have to
Yeah.
tell, the more, the less they will. I'm just
Yeah.
curious if there's any other, because, I don't, I want you guys to be able to express all your grievances. So like, is there any other console problems that like have been neglected? Because again, just on the off chance that maybe it gets listened to somewhere, or even just, I think PC players knowing about it, I think is valuable, that they should kind of have a little insight into what it's like playing on console.
Something
Yeah.
that I was experiencing, and maybe this is just my Xbox, my controller, my headset problems, but anytime I like unplug my headset accidentally and try to plug in, I can't talk anymore to my
Yeah,
game
there's a
chat,
game.
no
game
matter
chat
how.
issue.
And that was
Mhm.
like, I don't know if it's still a problem, but for like years, and like for a like a heavy communication game, that sucked to know that like my dog accidentally pulled my cable out, and now like
Now you can't talk with your team.
yeah,
for the
now I
rest of the
can't
match.
talk, and I tried joining, like leaving my party and everything.
Yeah,
and,
none of that would work. There was a game chat issue. I'd have to ask SVB and Samito on this one. When Overwatch 2 dropped, now I came to PC the end of season 1 or season 2, beginning of season 2. Whenever the game first dropped, did you guys have issues getting into the game? Because I know a decent bit of people that I knew from console, we weren't able to get into the actual main menu for 2 to 3 days after
Yeah.
release. Was that an
Right.
issue on PC?
No, we had the wait times obviously, but I know that there was a specific console issue of like you guys just couldn't get in. Like I think that
Yeah.
part they did publicly acknowledge. They were like, "Look,
Yeah,
console
they
players,
did
we know you
recognize
couldn't get in, and we're letting you in now."
Yeah, and even then they would say like, "Hey, we fixed this," and then you would be mid game, and it would just boot you out. You just get the same cycle. This lasted for like a week of not being able to get into the game for a lot of people.
So like, there's a theme emerging basically, which is that and I totally get this frustration. I think it's a very fair frustration, which is just like, and I think this is the picture where it's like, look, as I said, Overwatch 2 has been completely about resource allocation, right? And we, even on the PC side, have been frustrated because like, and this was part of my rant that I took some heat for, but I was like, guys, Overwatch 2 is a casual game. Like, stop yelling about the competitive. Like, you're just burning your own mental out. It's a casual game. Like, the priority is just so low for the competitive that you're like, you're
Yeah.
losing your mental over something that doesn't matter. So the picture's almost like at the top, it's like PC casual, then maybe PC competitive / console casual, and then like your guys saying like console competitive is like right here at the bottom, where it's like if everything else is hunky dory, maybe they'll pay some attention, like give us some crumbs to fix like the
Yeah.
console competitive issues, but that's like a maybe. Whereas we're just like the neglected, forgotten child in this like large
Yeah.
family that like we never get anything.
I would even say the PC competitive is under the PC casual slightly because I mean if you look at the competitive like rewards and stuff for Overwatch 2, it's really like they don't cater to competitive needs at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like PC casual at the top, competitive below that / casual. I might even put casual console above competitive PC.
Yeah,
to be
that's
honest.
what I was saying. Put every competitive at the bottom.
Yeah,
because
probably.
there's so much casual stuff. They endorse casual, which I mean is healthy for the game's numbers. But I liked Overwatch 1 when it was like super competitive, and I feel like they should be adding more stuff to like cater to the competitive scene.
That's fair, and that actually segues nicely. Unless hopefully you have anything to say. I know you haven't spoken in a while. Do you have anything to add on this?
No, I can't really think of another console
Okay.
problem.
Because I was gonna say like this leads me nicely into talking about just the general landscape of console, because and the competitive like actual gameplay of console, because I think this is another area where I'm always personally getting really conflicted messages from people about like, well, what is actually like a problem from a game perspective, on the console side. You know, people this for forever it's been like, oh, you know, on console they just can't shoot a Pharah, or like Torb and Sim Torb and Sim are OP, like, you
I know what
it's
you're talking about.
unstoppable on console. So like I'm curious to your guys' takes on like, well, what is actually the difference between like what is a terror on console versus what is a terror on PC?
I think on console competitive is just kind of like a joke. I mean, like, I think maybe there's one in every like 100 games where both teams are fully trying and they're like, there's calming and stuff. Like, the thing with PC is that everybody wants, I mean, not everybody, but for the most part, more people want to win than they just like on console. There's people who just throw every game because they don't care. People who get on who just are plat and they just sit out of chat, locking May, jumping off the map, stuff like that. Like,
Me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Zach, that's you, man. What are you doing?
there's no competitive factor in console, and I mean that's nothing to do with like that's nothing
It's
to
a
do with
player
Blizzard
issue.
or anything. It's just a player issue. Yeah, the competitive scene on console just doesn't even exist. I mean, yeah, I feel like it's not like I run into Sim Torb every game. Like maybe I'll see that in the lower ranks, but like in like the Grandmaster above ranks, it's just nowhere near anything to PC. PC is just everything about it's just more competitive.
Yeah, everyone tries every game on PC because I left console beginning of season 2 of Overwatch 2. The whole reason I went to PC in the first place was because I played the season 1 of Overwatch 2 on console, and I said, "Can I really see myself playing this for longer than a season or two on this platform?" I'm like, "Fuck no, this is a joke, right? This game is on this platform sucks." Now, I'm not taking away from the players because there are super good players that play the game at a high level. It's just a player issue that just made me just push me away completely. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna play the game, I want to play it on PC. That way, I can get better as a player because there's a wall you hit when you play on console that you can't really you cap at console. You can't really go above that wall until you make the jump to PC because once you're the top of the ladder on Xbox or PC or PlayStation or whatever, you can't go above that because there's no one better than you. Now, once you go to PC, you're playing against people that are better than you. Therefore, the wall is lifted, and you can actually improve as a player.
And there's also just more opportunities. Like you can then get signed onto a team. You can you can travel the world. You can get paid to do it. You just have more content opportunities. That was kind of like, you know, to answer your question, like hero differences and whatnot. I think that's just kind of like, I don't think that's like a big. That's something that will result in something that's positive because then you're going to have two separate games where Torbjorn's turret isn't so powerful versus a PC Torbjorn's turret, you know. But you know, for me, it was more or less a sentiment of just like I just want a different challenge. Like I did everything that I could on console. Let me go play with my girlfriend that's on PC. Let me go play with CarQ and my friends that's on PC. Let me go do all this. So my reasons were a little bit different, but as terms of like I just wanted a different challenge. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's like the high end of console. You guys saying like, well, you know, once you really care, once you really want to try, it's like it's almost pointless. Like
Yeah, it's redundant. It's like you want to
There's
try,
no
but then
There's no competitive format for you all.
exactly. No, you'll get into a game and like there will be Ximmers riddling every lobby. Like Pharah is unplayable. You cannot play Pharah on console because they're just going to be a Zimmer on Ashe or Widow. You can't play any flying character. If you play any flying character, you're basically just a giant
done.
target. You turn into
You're
a
on the
shooting.
game.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
throw
you
the
can't
game.
play
If
the
you
game.
go Pharah, you're donezo. You're gone off the planet.
Yeah,
which is really interesting again because I keep hearing that like, well, is she like a terror in the ranks outside of GM, like outside where Zimmers are? Is she like? Because I mean, to be fair,
Zimmers are in every rank. Zimmers are in every rank, regardless. Bronze, silver, gold. They're in every rank. Now I don't know if Pharah terrorizes the lower ranks.
I haven't really experienced Farah terrorizing or anything like that for me. And maybe this is just a me issue, a skill issue of all the players. But for me, it was Ana. That was the biggest struggle because, you know, you have you have aim assist for your allies and aim assist for your teammates. And if you're trying to aim for somebody that is over here, but an enemy jumps in front of your screen, in front of you, then your aim is just all over the place. So like again, it could be just a me issue, but when there was like data of like pick weights and win rates, Ana was a much better PC hero than a console hero, just based on the idea of like how many bodies are in front of you, and you know, So you just, at least for me, I never got a good Ana player typically versus PC where they're littered with good Ana players.
Oh yeah, that happens a lot on
It's-
Xbox. There's a lack of good players on certain heroes.
It's just a player issue, honestly. And most people that play on console just completely remove the friendly aim assist.
Yeah.
That shit feels fucking horrible. That is god awful. That's a terrible setting. It just
Yeah.
like fucks with your aim so much. It's like not even worth using.
Right,
So
and
it's
no,
on,
go ahead,
sorry.
Zach.
I wasn't gonna say anything worthwhile, I don't think, but yeah, you're good. I'm sorry. I
That's,
don't know.
yeah, that's what I expect from you. Don't worry.
Oh, sorry, man.
no, it's all good. No, I'm kidding. No, I mean,
don't flame my fellow May enjoyer.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
You've started something, Sam. You started something. I don't know if you want. This is your legacy,
Hey,
but
you made meta, Sam. What the hell,
I
bro?
know, man. What the hell? I was gonna say like this is interesting because obviously this goes back to like the before crossplay times when console had its own balance because that's what it kind of sounds like. It's like there's a few things that are like its own world almost, right? Where you guys saying like, well, look, Yazin might be like top 8 of the top 10 in EU Hufara, but like on console, like you're dead. It's unplayable because of Ximmers, and like Ana is like just terrible because it is like this just random setting that f's up. Like it's kind of like it's not even like anything to do with the hero's balance or anything like that. It's just there's this odd thing and it's screwing up the hero play. So it sounds a little bit wonky, basically, to kind of summarize. Like some things go out of balance just because of reasons. I would love to go further into the competitive scene itself, I think, because that's another area that I think is worth talking about is, like you guys said, it's almost like there's no end game. If we were to give it a gaming analogy, since we're all gamers, it's like you guys level 80 or whatever, and then it's like there's nothing to do. Like there's no raids, there's no bosses, there's no dungeons. You guys are like, oh, I've just finished the
You
game.
just keep fighting
For
the
me-
same boss over and over.
For me, like when I was going into Overwatch 2, my thing was that kept echoing in my head is that I'm not playing to win anymore. I'm playing not to lose, and that's just not a good feeling. Like, because for me, I hit my ceiling at bottom top 500. Could I have gone to top rank 1 if I really want to? I got other things I got to worry about now in my life that I can't just grind the game. And for the enjoyment for me, it's making content and all that kind of stuff. So, but also to just know that like I'm playing not to lose. Where if I went on a computer, I can see myself grow every single day. That's a better feeling. And to know that there's bigger potential than if I were just to continue the same console thing, and not to take away from console players. It's not that. It's just my own personal like feelings that I'm sure other console players also feel to maybe a similar degree.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you're just hitting, like as you said, you're just hitting the wall. Because the thing is, like, we just had a tournament this past weekend, and that was like the most competitive thing we've had in a while. That's why we get so excited when when you open up the forum to play against PC, because other than that, like you're gonna be like, hey, PC players come play against us. They're gonna be like, oh, like, well, you guys are console, like,
Yeah.
nobody cares.
Yeah.
So like whenever an opportunity like that comes up for console players to show that, hey, we're not terrible, like we have a
They
chance.
eat that shit up. They will eat it up. I promise they will.
we take it. And like, yeah, I mean, the tournament we played this past weekend, it's the same exact teams that have been good forever. Like, it's not like PC where there's like an open division and there's a ton of players who are on the come up. Like, console is just not like that. Like, who's bad and who's good, and rarely is there ever like a new player you're like, oh wow, like this person's gonna be a god.
Yeah,
Like, there's just
new
there's
players
a
are frowned upon. They are
yeah,
frowned upon.
it's there's like a lack of
No,
like
it's-
diversity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting and very sad, obviously, because I mean, again, I think even on PC, people have their grievances with the path to pro, as it were, for PC players, and that not being too great. But I guess at least there is a path, whereas you guys are saying it's just like,
Yeah,
it's
there's
to
no
dead end.
path.
There's
It's a fucking dude. It's like a 30-foot tall brick wall that no one can go over. The only way you go over the wall is if you get a PC, sadly, but is what it is.
Sam, do you have any kind of thoughts on any of this?
I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see, just some kind of. I feel like it wouldn't be hard for like a console OD to exist, or, some kind of qualifier for a console team to at least make it to open division and play. There's no like.
Yeah.
Now the problem is it would have to be without aim assist because there's no way they would let that happen in like the actual format. But if people are willing to opt into it to at least have the chance to play, I don't see why that can't exist. It clearly made for some interesting content and make for one hell of a story because I think personally that you two could at least whoop on the OD teams with or without aim assist, in my opinion.
Yeah, I primarily play on PC now. I don't play Xbox very often. I just like to give props and shout outs to where my roots are. I
Yeah.
primarily play PC. Like always, I very rarely will play Xbox, but
Depending on the meta, I honestly, I don't even think it depends on the meta. I think that the top, if you guys went and played on Xbox, like I see absolutely no reason if you guys are willing. They now, again, it'd have to be without aim assist because there's no way the pros or Open Division would be okay with letting aim assist happen. But you know, I don't see why you all couldn't play, and I still think you all would win. I think I at least think that you should be able to compete, or there needs to be some kind of filter, whether it be a qualifier based on where your rank
I guess-
was, or something to at least let some of these guys play in OD. I don't see why that shouldn't happen. It's open.
I guess
Yeah.
the counterpoint
Like-
is that if there's no, it at the end of the day, it's irrelevant if they can't actually go pro on console, though, isn't it? Like, if the whole point is that they need to, like, this is a path to pro.
Well, I mean, you
if
could
they
go
ca-
pro. You could make contenders. I mean, you could make trials. But I mean,
Oh, are you
I
talking about
don't
PC
see-
or like console
like
contenders?
if you play on Xbox without aim
I'm
assist,
sorry. Well, I'm saying like that. Like I don't see for any reason why there shouldn't, like, controller players and console players should not be allowed to play in Open Division and go through the same process as everybody else. Because here's the thing, like at least in Open Division 2, like if you turn off aim assist, like you all would roll like the gold Overwatch like PC teams, like at least allow that experience to be possible. Right, at least open that 30-foot brick wall, because again, if there's no aim assist, there doesn't even need to be a discussion about it, because again, it is the pro format. But I don't see why that shouldn't be an option for good players like these two, because I actually think they could go pretty far, and I think it'd make for one hell of a story. So I don't know.
There
With
is a
aim assist,
console league, though. There is a console league that we play in, but it's not like
It's
nothing.
not Open Division though. It's not
Like
the
one
Path to
game.
Pro.
It just
Sam
you
is
just play
saying
for
basically
money.
turn off aim assist and let you guys compete like anyone else. That's kind of what Sam is
Yeah.
saying. Like, turn off
Yeah.
aim assist and let you guys
I
go.
would
Like,
just play my PC. I played in this.
You-
I just-
you-
Well,
Sadly,
yeah,
you just
I
need
know
the-
you would. I know you would, but I'm sure there's some like Xbox players who are
Yeah.
good enough to actually do pretty decent in Open Division.
yeah, absolutely.
Get the exclusive Path to Pro. Like, I know it's sprays and stuff and
Yeah, but
icons.
it's so cool though. It's
Can you
so
guys
cool.
get the contender skins or no? Y'all
Yeah,
can't,
yeah, yeah.
can you?
Yeah, I
Can you?
got the Genji contender skin years ago.
Are they
Yeah.
selling those now, or are they?
I
Because
don't
back
know
in the
if
day, and I
I
used
got
to
them for
love this,
free.
and I wish
I got them for
they
free.
would do this more. The only way you could get the contender skins was if you played in Overwatch League or in contenders, you had to launch the OPR on your account and then like select it, and then you would have those skins on your main on live servers, and that was one of the biggest reasons to play contenders, because you'd be in game with a contender skin,
Yeah,
and
right.
everyone would be like, "Holy shit! Like that's a contenders player." Because like I love stuff like if they did that again, I'd play. I guess I've been playing like this week, but that would make me want to play again. Like, and that's like very little things that I see no reason why that shouldn't be an option for console players who want to go prove themselves. I think it'd be. I mean, clearly there's demand for it because of your series SVB, and then what Jay did with like, you can't tell me that wouldn't be fun to watch. Like, imagine that happen. That would
But
be
with
pretty
aim
cool.
assist though, you would have to have aim assist.
But
Without
that's
aim
the
assist,
thing
they
is that
wouldn't-
you
they
can-
wouldn't let you. They wouldn't
Why
let you.
don't-
and
Why
and
don't
I
they
think
just
that's
make it to where like a instead of like smashing them together with PC teams, why don't they just have like a separate like console?
A console
Open
OD, they could
division
do that too.
and just
They could do
mirror
that
it to
too.
where if you want aim assist or not, then you just do a console OD.
Well,
Or if
I
you
mean,
want to
no,
register with no aim
if it's
assist.
console only, there can be aim assist. That there's no problem with that, right? Because
Yeah, yeah,
everyone
yeah.
on console like has it. But I'm saying like in the PC pool, which honestly, like I know you're saying there has to be aim assist. I still think you all would win. I still
No.
think you all could do pretty well, and that maybe not win OD, but I think you all could still. I think you'd be a little surprised as to just how good a good brain in Overwatch can be. I don't know, because you guys are
fun.
smart players too.
That's fun, but you just like, as fun as that would be, we just want the competitive, like it'd be fun to play without aim assist and dominate the silver gold teams. But at the end of the day, we just want, like, I'm saying we as if I'm speaking for everybody, but I just want to be able to play against a good Open Division team with a controller with aim assist. Because I know you want to talk about the integrity of it, but like speaking on like playing against a contender team with a controller, I don't think that I think it's on an even playing field. I don't think that the aim assist will really make it so broken that I need to be kicked because I'm breaking the integrity of it.
No, that's fine.
Well,
That's
Yeah,
okay.
that was kind of shown with whole J3 crap or whatever, but
That was shown with the J3. Yeah, we did get shit on, but we also held our ground.
It was
I mean,
fair. It was
you guys are
close.
good. You guys are good players. Regardless, my
I think
point being,
also
it doesn't
the
matter
one-
to me which one it is. As long as you guys, I think you guys should have some kind of opportunity to play somewhere. And I think it's silly that there isn't one.
I
The
agree.
one actually, just it's a kind of random point to bring in so late into the thing. But one area of the aim assist crossplay discussion is that I think you guys would get a lot better if you got to play again. Like you guys went against that contenders team once. I think if you guys went against them 10 times, you'll do better like each time. So I do think like the problem potentially is that maybe you lose the first time, but 10 times down the line, or like 6 months, a year down the line, a console team will win with aim assist, and then
Get a
everyone will
bigger
lose their
sample
mind.
size.
Well,
Get a
then
bigger
everyone
sample
will-
size.
Funny story too. This is actually what mine different because this is about acquiring talent, like skill sets, right? This happened in Overwatch League Season 1 when everyone said Korea was going to dominate, and the first stages or two, the Korean teams did do very well, but by the time we were on stage 3 and 4, because the NA teams had better practice and were consistently playing against those Korean teams, they got better. And granted, the inputs were the same, but the more that you get repetitions, and I think this is also a big reason why a lot of console players can't stay. Again, you don't actually have the opportunity to get better practice when you're at the highest level of play because it's just all the better players are on P. It was the same reason SA Contenders was kind of hard stuck in a very bad spot for a long time. We're losing to OD teams because the practice down there just was not nearly as good. And that's why all the best SA players would always come to NA Contenders, and why all the best EU players, not all of them, but a lot of them came to NA because the resources were in the academy teams were all in NA. So you had even like back in that contender season, the last one I played in, there was like basically like 4 OWL rosters in contenders because all those guys like were just on contracts or like dropping their team, and like the competition was so good they were like, okay, this is basically OWL level talent. Like I'm gonna come play here, right? And so I guess I think with the better practice, I just don't underestimate yourselves. I don't know. I'm trusting my gut on this one. I feel like. I don't know. It's just one of those gut reads that I guess.
No, I mean it's definitely true because like I remember it's a slight tangent, but I remember early days of Overwatch, NA was the worst region. Like it was widely accepted that like the best regions were Korea, and then EU was like second. And like if you look at the first set of OWL pros, they were all EU. It was Rogue and Envious were the two like best
Rogue
teams,
and Envy were the
Okay.
two
and they were
big
all EU
teams.
players. Like Rogue was basically France, and Envious was like like Taimu and Chipsane and
Harry Hook,
Coco and Harry.
Oh, yeah.
all your so like actually
Maybe
it's
I'd
a,
run
it's a
away,
completely
those
random
iconic
point,
teams.
but NA has benefited tremendously from having OWL there, so that everyone is scrimming in that region. The quality has gone up. So I do think to that point, if you guys on console had a like maybe that's just something on a different point, like maybe not even going competitive, but if you guys had the chance to play against high level like teams, whether that's PC or not, more often, it would raise your guys' bar as well, right? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but was that like maybe the hardest game you've ever played? The game you guys did play?
Yeah, it was, but I also do want to say something that a lot of people, when they see that game where we played versus the Contenders team, they think like, oh, like that's the best. Like, I mean, it's said multiple times, but I just don't want people to think that that was actually the best team we could have had, because that wasn't like the best team we could have had.
Did you all play Wisp, by the way?
Oh yeah, we played
Yeah,
with.
it was
Okay.
Yeah, and I know J3 says it, and I mean, there's no reason not to leave it, but we had like some people hadn't played the game in a while, and also one of our support players who was on Zen, he was a DPS player, so like it wasn't the best possible team we could have had, but yeah, I mean, it was still difficult. I mean, even if we had the best players ever, I think it still would have been no way we would have won.
What was the score? I didn't see the VOD.
I
It was
think
1 to
3-1.
Yeah, it was 1
Yeah.
to 3. Yeah, 1 to 3.
And
Were they playing their Doom Soch comp?
They were, I
Yeah.
think. Doom so true.
They like played like a mixture of like Hog, and then they swapped to like Junker Queen and Doom. They just played like a mixture of stuff. Like, I mean, the game's relatively close, so nonetheless, console definitely surprised a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
That's why I think you all should get your format then. I don't see why you all should not have an open division. Granted, it'd be smaller, but there are some regions where I genuinely believe that there are some regions on PC where console OD on North America would be more popular than like some of the ODs like in I think it would be fun to see for one season. I don't see why they shouldn't give you all that opportunity.
Yeah,
It'd be
absolutely.
more fun
I
if you put us
agree.
in the PC one, though. I'm just saying, it'd be more fun if the controller was put in with the PC Open Division. Like,
That made for a good
like,
good content.
yeah, I like the idea of the console, but the thing is, it's just gonna be one. Like, it's not like there's gonna be an up and coming team to surprise
Yeah,
everybody.
there'll be like 2 super teams.
Yeah,
and
it'd be
then
2
one of the
super teams, and everyone else would just fail. Like
Yeah.
Kind of
that's
what
the thing,
NA.
though.
That's kind of what Contenders has been for a long time though too. On PC,
But I guess
you
also
know?
the point is, again, at least Contenders players have the aspiration of going All Pro. I guess
Yeah.
you're hard nerfing the like console players' aspirations. Like, okay, well, we won. What now? I guess I gotta switch to PC
Nothing.
so that I gotta switch to PC so I can actually get signed.
And that brings up a point that maybe is a less empathetic point to bring up, but it's like, if there is that super strong desire from an individual, I know there's money involved in buying a computer and all of that, so I'm not trying to be classist here, but like, what is stopping somebody that truly wants to like make OWL from doing that, from making that switch, from doing that, like, and maybe that's bringing up a rude point of like, well, you're not being empathetic enough to someone's financial situations, and that's fine. But if we're going to be bringing up nerfing aspirations, if someone wants it, is Blizzard telling them literally, no, you can't make it?
Right.
I feel like that's a fair point to bring up. That maybe doesn't have an answer, but it's still
like a double-edged sword. It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
it's kind of like iffy. Like, I'm pro PC. Like, I love playing on PC. I absolutely I hate playing on console. Just from playing on my couple months on PC, I would probably never play Xbox again, seriously, for obvious reasons. I think the game feels trash, the FOV's trash, the aim assist feels trash, just everything on console I don't like. I just 100% prefer PC. I would try to opt for playing PC with anything I play in.
Yeah, and again, there are obviously reasons to use console, again, whether that's financial, it can be physical, like disabilities and reasons keeping people to use. But, I suppose the nuanced point of that, what Zach is making, is that like, well, that is also true for a PC player. Like there are realities that stop PC players from also who want to go OWL to going to OWL, right? Like not everybody can, like that's a wider philosophical point about like reality.
I didn't want to bring that up for a bigger discussion. I did just want to bring that up, but it's like, well, let's not try to act like you are totally 1000% out of trying to get into Overwatch League, if that's what you're wanting, or compete, or whatever.
It's been done. Kalush did it. Gator did it, right?
Yeah.
They did it, and they came in swinging. Let me tell you, that goats team, man, they made goats.
When did Gator switch from console?
2017. They were the first. They were goats.
Yeah,
the team called Goats, and they invented Gator, Goats Comp. That was them.
Yeah,
that was Gator, Kalush, Wavy, Tenza, the Sage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the Sage, bro, the Sage. Oh man, sorry, I just went on a little rant.
No, a little bit Overwatch nostalgia, but yeah, I mean, Worth and Hopeful. Any kind of thoughts on that? Like, what is your guys' like end game? I guess Hopeful has kind of alluded to a few times where he's like, let us play in the PC Open division.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want there to be a chance for the controller players. I mean, I know Samito wants to talk about the integrity, but for the most part, not talking about just like Contenders Open division, for the most part, like the integrity doesn't matter in any of the other ranks because mouse and keyboard is just 10 times better than controller. Like it doesn't matter if aim assist was way stronger. It's just mouse and keyboard will be infinitely better than.
Well, what
controller.
About the zimming problem though, right?
Yeah, that's
ban Zims.
The thing is though, the thing is, if you were to bring controller into PC and Zimmers were to come out, at that point Blizzard would be forced to deal with it because everyone would be complaining. So I think like that's kind of like I don't know how to explain it, but that's kind of like an aggressive way to fix it. Like okay, force aim assist on PC and then force the Zimmers in, and then
I see your master plan here. Here.
It's like I don't know the way, but you know what I'm saying. It's like you have to force it that way. But yeah, that would be a whole different issue on its own. That's the way I see it personally. I just want it to be an equal opportunity. And I know Samito is very against aim assist. I know you like the integrity of it, but I just don't think it would be as big of an issue as you think it would.
Yeah, even if there was aim assist on PC with controller, I personally wouldn't do it, just because I
wouldn't
prefer
either.
with no aim assist. But I just want basically, I guess my point of all this being here on the podcast is I want to see the hidden talent on console get represented somewhere, because there is a lot of talent on console. But I mean, obviously with Gator, Kalush, Tensa, all those guys, Hello I'm Halo, he's on, those guys like upper level contenders, Overwatch League players. But yeah, even if there was, I wouldn't play controller on PC with aim assist, because me personally, I like no aim assist, M&K, raw input, but I just want to see my console friends and my fellow console players, I want to see their talent get represented in some way. even if it is with aim assist, because it's still impressive nonetheless, right? Because not everyone can pick up a controller and can compete at that high level that some of these console players can.
Yeah, and they're almost like this forgotten minority of people, right? Where like there's just nothing for them, and maybe even just like something as simple as like if the barrier is that they can't afford a proper PC, like having the open division prize just be like give them PCs, give them like a voucher for like a PC.
Get a sponsor to sponsor the PCs that are
like exactly.
That's a good idea, actually.
Literally anything. Just give console some like recognition, because the only thing we have going for console is funded by the guy in chat, Headrammer. Super good guy. He runs CGL. It's like our only little league that we have for money, and we do have pop-up tournaments here and there, but it's really like it's just dry and barren. You know what I mean? It's like PC. You have stuff to look forward to. You scrim every day. If you're grinding that path to pro, majority of the time you're scrimming every night, or at least a decent bit per week. There are absolutely no scrims on console whatsoever. Like
Yeah,
blue
if you
team,
scrim on console, it's fine.
blue team went into playing Wisp with 0 scrim time, like within the past month or two. Like that, we don't like. Whenever I played console, I never scrimmed. I'm sure they still don't scrim. But now that I'm on PC, I scrim almost every night. It's a lot different. It really is a lot different. And that just, I think that's more so like a player issue, being that there's like an elite, and then if you don't fall under the elite, then you're just gonna get rolled. So there's like no point in playing. So I feel like the Xbox Elite and PlayStation Elite should be playing up against these PC teams, even with the aim assist.
Makes sense. It's a very fair point. Yeah, I mean, is there any other issues you guys want to bring up? Because from my end, this is like the big tick boxes that I wanted ticked. But again, I want to make sure you guys get your chance to kind of say your piece. So, Worth, Hopeful, is there anything else you want to bring up in regards to the console discussion?
I think we've talked about all the points. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to be more representation for the console players. I mean, I know it's not like you play console, it's like you want to go pro, but it's like I just want there to be a chance. If anybody would want to take their controller skills further than just the ladder, I think there should just be a chance to do that.
Yeah, some form of representation, because really the only form of representation, like I said, is CGL, those little pop-up tournaments, and I guess you could say streams, because there are a couple of successful console streamers that stream console only, such as Leo himself. He streams console, hones in a bunch of viewers just for console. I feel like that would like opening that gate would kind of like build a connection between Blizzard and like console, because that connection has kind of been split over the past couple of years due to neglect, I feel. And I just think there should be some form of representation across all platforms.
I was gonna. Are either of you in the creator Discord? I don't think you are, right?
No, I'm not.
No, I'm
We
not.
both stream.
Okay.
I'm not in it. No, I stream PC. Leo streams console.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. Like, obviously, we haven't really touched on it. And I don't want it can sound insensitive when I say it, but it's like, there's not that many big console creators, right?
No.
Like, there's not a huge amount of like console creators who are very popular. So, and I totally understand why, because like I think someone mentioned this earlier, but it's like, well, if you're a viewer, it doesn't so much matter to you that it's a PC or a console streamer, but like, whereas why would a PC player watch a console player? Whereas a PC, a console player may well watch a PC streamer, right? Is that fair?
That was my That was my biggest struggle as a creator, is thinking like, okay, well, I can stream on console, but would PC players watch me? Probably not, or maybe they just don't like me. But that's a personal issue then with me.
You mind if I chime in here with this point? Because I'm so new to PC. I used to primarily like only stream console Overwatch, and I announced that I was swapping to PC, and in my head I'm thinking, because a lot of people swapped to PC from console that streamed, and once they swapped, they kind of lost a lot of their viewers, just because it's like, okay, they're leaving my platform, therefore I really shouldn't watch them. But in my experience, which is kind of insane to think about, which I feel blessed for, is I actually grew from swapping to PC. Now, I don't know if that's because I play at a super high rank and the console people still watch me. It's kind of like I got my console guys still supporting me, and then along with new PC people. But either way, I think like everyone should have some form of representation on any platform, really. I think that's only fair, because we are all playing the same game.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, if you're gonna say we've got a cross-play game, multi-platform game, then it doesn't make sense to neglect, one section of your game and just be like, yeah, that's fine, and not represent that in everything. Like whether that's the creators, whether that's the competitive scene, whatever it is, it should have some representation if you're gonna make the claim that we're a cross-play game. Otherwise, what's the point? Then don't bother.
Yeah, it's like there's like they say that it's cross-play game, but it's like there's like a huge division between PC and console.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, in that case, we can head to concluding thoughts then. Because from my side, I've kind of discussed anything I wanted to. Zach and Sam, any other topics that you wanted to bring up, or should we go to concluding thoughts?
I think I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. In that case, we'll just go with like what would be your one request, let's say, for the future of console. Let's say the developers again could well be listening. So I'd like everyone to summarize. Okay, this is what I want for console Overwatch. And Sam, you can have a think, especially on what you want for console Overwatch. But I'll go with Worth again, and then we'll go clockwise on my screen. So Worth, you go ahead. What's your kind of like request of like, okay, I'm not asking for the whole Christmas tree, but like maybe one thing that would be good from our side.
I think primarily, I guess, could I say two tiny things that make up the gift? Okay, so I think one, they should deal with Ximmers. That should be dealt with. And two, there should be more representation of all platforms, primarily console. Because there's a lot of representation on PC. I think console needs a little bit of love somewhere. So that's about it for me. Thank you.
No, fair, hopeful.
For me, again, I also agree with the Ximmers, and this may be asking for a lot, and maybe a crazy world this would happen, but my biggest request would be full MMR wipe, and then complete crossplay between console and PC. I know that's a big thing that I would ask. Probably never going to happen, but that's something that I personally would think would be great for the game.
I think that's totally fair for you to have that desire, and Sam's probably like, no, bro, pass.
It's just a desire. I can't really tell him he's wrong on it.
No,
What he
of
wants.
course, I'm
Good
not.
for you,
I'm not. No. I that's what I mean.
Dream
Everyone should have their
big.
side. It's like me. It's like I'm like, I want asymmetrical Overwatch, but like that's not gonna happen for many a year at best. So we'll keep those desires, in the pocket for now. Zach, what about you?
I think just having more opportunities for console players, an open division or an Overwatch League in the perfect world. I talked to the original commissioner for the Overwatch League, Nate Answer, and brought up the question like, hey, would you ever consider a console Overwatch League? And he just kind of like shot down the idea right away. But it's one of those things where it's like, at least give a thought to it or something. Don't just shoot it down.
Give it a shot, right? Like even with the whole edition, like Samito's against adding the controller aim assist into the PC queues.
Like
Why don't they
like-
do something like the BroYouWack beta? Like try it out at least. Like see how it goes. If people don't like it, don't do it. But if people do like it, then do it. I mean, just give it a shot somewhere. Do something to give console more representation anywhere, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I think they would be like, well, resource issue, in-game or skill issue. They're like in development,
right.
they're like resource issue. But I mean, it is interesting because I think Overwatch has been unique in many ways with how crossplay is operated for it. Like like Sam said, the aim assist is probably the most reasonable, and it has implemented it probably more smoothly than any other game has ever done. It hasn't had like vast swathes of controversy, so it's interesting if Overwatch could be the game, because that's one like selling point would be like, well, maybe Overwatch could be the game that does crossplay properly for competitively for the first time ever. Like it might be the best ever competitive crossplay game, but I suppose that's the optimistic view. The pessimistic view as well.
That's ideal, but in reality, it could be the exact opposite. Like
Yes.
with Samito says, like with Warzone, where the game could just get completely nuked. It's like 50-50. I wouldn't even say 50-50. Maybe like 30% chance it works and 70% chance it like nukes itself. But I mean, you never know until you try it. So I mean, might as well just give it a shot, right? Like throw something in a beta, like BroYouWack beta. Be like, hey, this is crossplay beta. If you guys don't like it, just everyone take a vote through the game, and whoever wins, and I guess that could be decided that way. But
Yeah, or again, as you guys have said, maybe something we can start at the pro end as well and see how that plays out, because that's where the biggest concerns are, anyways, right? Like the concerns
the
of
top
it,
of
like going.
Xbox.
Yeah, the concerns of it going wrong are usually at the like, well, you're going to ruin the competitive integrity. So if you can try there and then maybe baby steps. Sam,
Yeah, right.
what about you? Like, what are you kind of having heard all of this? Do you first of all, having heard all of this, do you feel any sort of different about the sort of the whole crossplay aim assist discussion in Overwatch? And how do you feel about console Overwatch's future?
I don't feel any different at all. Look, I'm a raw
We didn't
input
do
guy.
enough convincing.
Because look, I already understood the shortcomings of controller, and I never like refuted that those existed, and I don't have a problem with aim assist like on console v console. I just think we play PC. Aim assist and software that helps you aim does not belong in PC shooters. It never has, it never will, and it's never going to. But that being said, I do feel for the console scene in that I definitely think, especially on the competitive side, look, I love competitive games, and I still think that just because that exists, that console should have nothing. I think that's silly. I think that NA console competitive would be more popular than some of the regions that I know that's gonna upset some of these people from these regions, but like I would take the top console NA team with these guys on it over SA, like the SAOD teams. And even without aim assist, I'd still take them because I know how smart players these guys are, and I think that they're smart enough to make a lot of different things work. But I think if there's one thing that I'd want to see aside from like an actual competitive format of some kind to allow console players to actually get that true Overwatch, what I call it the true Overwatch experience, because there's no Overwatch like it, especially after playing in like some contenders matches this week.
Yeah.
I stand by that. There's just
Exactly.
it's the real game. It's the real game, and it really sucks to me that I feel like 99% of the population has never gotten to truly experience that because it's life changing for real. But other than that, I think it'd be hilarious to see the Ximmers get banned. I think it'd be really fun. They try to act like they're not cheating, and they are.
They would drop like flies.
It'd be funny. It'd be really funny. I have no sympathy for that. I just think
that's
funny.
a unanimous agreement, or at least I can say that too. Yeah, because that's
it's cheating. I'd clip this. Anybody who tries to act like you're not a dirty little rat cheater, if you Zim, you are a dirty little rat cheater. All right, don't try to weasel your way out of it and say, "Well, it's not cheating. It's not bad." You are cheating.
Actually,
yeah, it's hard.
You are cheating.
It is.
You are cheating. You are cheating. Aim assist is in the game because the thing it is different because the Joy-Con is a different aiming than this. It's different to aim. Okay, especially when you get better. Joy-Con, joystick. Hey, shout out my boy Joystick, by the way. I actually played on a team with Joystick. He played controller Ryan, Bird GG's.
I think he still does.
Yeah, he does.
He still does. He still does. Anytime I see him, I run mirror. That's my guy. But no, it's I think it'd be really funny to see the Ximmers get banned, and I just want to. I that's where I do feel for console players because that's not fair, and my whole shtick is fair play. I want everybody to have a level playing field and be given the same tools, and you're using better tools if you are zimming. So no, get them out.
I also like the Rainbow Six solution of like it's almost like the Lego brick solution. It's like let's inconvenience them. Like don't ban them.
It's troll. It's troll.
Yeah, you troll them exactly.
It's funny.
Yeah, it's exactly what I said. You're trolling them.
It's like there was a rumor that in Warzone, and unfortunately I got flagged for this, that like cheaters would get put in cheater lobbies, and like I looked at the ratings of like the lobbies getting put in. I guess I got reported for hitting too many headshots with my sniper. And there were a couple days where I just got perma cheaters, and it was bad. And like apparently they were matching cheaters against other cheaters, and I just thought that was like really funny. It just became
so you're zimming.
No, like these kids were hard aimbotting. Like they were like literally like shooting me from 900 meters, like with an AK-47, and I'm like, dude, where am I being shot from? I'm just over. It's like this kid's he's on the runway. I'm top mountain on Verdansk, and this guy's on the runway 800 meters away, and I'm seeing his bullets come across the I'm like, I can't play the game. Oh god, good times.
I mean, I think Worth and Worth in particular, I think you had something to add before we conclude. I think you were trying to say something.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say another thing, like with the whole integrity thing with Samito. I think the integrity of the game, regardless if they had aim assist or not, is already like far gone because of how terrible the matchmaking is. I know they said they've been working on it, like they probably fixed it apparently about 4 or 5 times, and every time they fix it, my queues seem to get worse. So I don't know.
Might have been better today, and my only rebuttal to that would be that ends up being a raw player skill input difference, not an artificial machine made difference. And like
Yeah,
when the
that's
mistakes
fair.
come in, and like again, each outcome is bad, but an outcome that is bad because of player skill is more acceptable than an outcome that is bad because of machinery or
That makes sense. Yeah, it's,
software.
Yeah.
I think Samito should do a stream playing Xbox with a controller.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think
I like
I
this.
Well, I'll play with you.
I think that to truly have a view on it, you have to play with it. You have to experience it.
Yeah.
I mean, my issue has never been with your all's experience being diminished. I acknowledge that your experience is worse. My whole point is that just because your experience is bad doesn't mean that I should be punished for it. It
But a controller is really hard though. But
doesn't matter. I shouldn't have to deal with it. That's it. That's all. I agree with you that it's worse. But like the idea that I should have to deal with it because it sucks for a controller is no, I'm not. No. I play.
I think that is a very interesting.
I want to play on other people with my input, and luckily we have an opt-in option. And again, it's well, we're gonna go in a circle. I know where this is going.
Yeah, no. I think it's a very interesting philosophical debate. I see a
It's
funny
fun.
like
It's fun.
let Sam 1v1 NBA 2K, like dunk on some kids in console. I do think it would be a great piece of content to see
funny. It'd
Sam
be
try
funny.
console. It would be a really
yeah,
good piece of
I think it
content.
would be
But
great.
I would
so
tune
fun.
into
There'll
that.
be a
But
couple death slams. There'll be a couple death slams. I'll just play Moira. It's over.
easy TikTok more in the back. But I
It's
have
not
really.
as easy as you might think. It's not as easy as you might think.
Oh, I know. Trust me. I've
Well,
played at my roommates. I have my Xbox out on the TV right out here.
Well, try one.
Fire up the stream.
Yeah.
Fire up the stream. Let's get it on.
I don't have a PC out there to capture input.
You can do.
Yeah.
You can stream through
Actually,
the
I
Xbox.
guess
You can stream through the Xbox. Yeah, yeah. That has an
I'll
inbuilt
get you an
Twitch.
Elgato for Christmas. How about that?
You don't
There
even.
you
Yeah,
go,
you don't,
guys.
you don't even need an Elgato. You can stream through your Xbox onto Twitch without doing anything.
That's true.
We'll do a GoFundMe for Samito stream. Just get all the setup if
Yeah.
he needs it. And well, I will look forward to that, and I've looked forward to seeing more of Worth and Hopeful, hopefully in particular, and hopefully, you know, I my whole thing is always like, you know, I want the Overwatch community to be more integrated wherever possible. So here's another area where hopefully we can kind of have more collaboration, more content, more gameplay with the console community, with you guys, because it sucks. It definitely sucks that you guys get neglected in this way. So I hope going forwards you guys will feel happier with the state of Overwatch, as I always hope we do at the end of these podcasts, even if sometimes we're very doomery. I'm always like, well, I hope we'll feel better next time we meet. So I hope next time we meet.
and there have been times where it has been.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
I remember, you know, with the dark days, and then we came back. We're like, yo, you know, this patch is good, and like, you know, Overwatch 2 dropped. So we've had our happy moments, and hopefully we'll have them again. But thank you very much. Go check these guys out, please, guys. You know, especially if you're not familiar with Worth and Hopeful, go check them out in the console community. But I thank you so much, all of you, Zach and Samito as well, for joining me. It's always been a pleasure to have you guys on.
It was
And
thank you.
have a great rest of your day, guys. Peace out.